All right, folks, good afternoon, evening, night, morning, whatever it is, wherever you are. In here today with Mr. D Moots Photography and Jeffrey Neville of Selective Imagery. I hope everybody's doing well. So you got the chat open over there already. Jess Freed in here, Mike Farwell, J Rod Photo Art. How you doing, James? And Roy Bigsby. How you doing, Roy? I saw Roy had already mentioned the Hasselblad H2D. I saw a couple of well, actually, I only watched one of the reviews, and that was, oh shoot, Kai and Locke. It was they're always entertaining, and considering he dropped the battery for the camera, that's just par for the course for those guys. But liking what I see there, it's kind of neat. Not that I'm in the market for it. We were just in here talking about the Hasselblad, the colors, the rich color that they were showing of it. It seems like other news, real quick, before we really get started in the chat. Charles Davis, good to see you in here. Tony Day. Uh, Let Jeffrey and David say hello to everybody first.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today?
Hi guys, another day, another 50 cents, right?
I don't know where you're getting 50 cents from. It cost me 50 cents. Yeah, so a little bit of camera news going on. Tried to break away from all the camera news or all the equipment news because I know there are people that get upset about that, talking about equipment. However, it seems Nikon rumors, Peter over there is beginning to bend a little bit. I noticed he just had a post. He was talking about something could be coming. He has no information about it. Well, we've been talking about that too. Maybe the NDAs have been cracked down on, and there isn't going to be a lot of information before something's announced. So, Matt Irwin, he's announced every possible camera. He's had a video on every possible camera Nikon could make. The latest being the APS-C Z500 light camera. So I think everybody's digging for content right now. That's the great thing over here. We just make our own content as we go. It's always fun. But
Yes,
I
J
thought,
Rod, everybody is mad at Canon.
yes. So that turns out to be more than just conjecture. Everybody thought, well, it's not going to be a big deal. Evidently, it's turning into a bigger deal. A lot of Canon folks not happy that they're not going to go down the route of third-party lenses right now. Doesn't look like anytime soon either. But of course, all that could change. Good to see you in here. Who else did I see? Anybody else? Gustavo.
What's funny about that, they'll say, well, it's because it's a patented proprietary mount system, but so is the Z mount. And Nikon's not playing that game.
Well, I think Nikon's mount's different though. I think Canon has an extraordinary mount with that those bidirectional pins to talk between the lens and the camera continuously. So maybe that has something to do with it. I hadn't thought about that or really didn't even think about it at all until Amar brought that up. So that could be part of it. It may be a difficult bridge the gap, and they're afraid that maybe some of the third party makers out there trying to reverse engineer that might brick a camera or something like that. And then, of course, everybody will yell at Canon because they didn't fix it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's my fault. I bought a third party lens. It may or may not be compatible, but,
Yeah.
I'm not going to accept that fault. It's your fault, Canon, because you didn't make sure it would work right. So I don't know what'll happen, but yeah, some people over there are not happy in the Canon camp. Not all of them, but there are some people.
Well, they just have to do what they should have done is to do the licensing agreements so that they can make sure the compatibility issues are worked out, and then they charge them a hefty fee to be able to use their mount.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's nonsense or not, Tony. I can't get into all that. That's engineering, camera engineering, and everything else. But you're probably right. It may be nonsense. It's just another way that Canon wants to use their cripple hammer in a different way. I don't know. I guess time's going to tell us whether that's the case or not.
Well, it's amazing how, all of a sudden Canon does that, and then Nikon's like, well, Tamron, make us some lenses.
Yeah.
It's a good move on Nikon's part for sure.
And Canon's price points, one can argue, are pretty crazy now. I mean, they're charging a lot for pretty much everything. I mean, considerably more than everybody else for something that is not considerably better than anybody else.
When Nikon came out with that 800 PF at that price range, it slapped Canon in the face.
Yep.
Well, it did, but now the sting is gone, isn't it?
It is. The sting's gone, and the news I got the other day makes it even worse.
And that is unacceptable. And we're going to have a stream where I get into some more Nikon marketing bashing and so on and so forth, because I'm going to hold their feet to the fire when it comes to things like this. But what did they tell you about the 800 PF, David?
The local camera store I went to the other day, their Nikon rep said that NPS members might get their 800 in a year, and non-NPS, it'll be 2 years.
That's
unacceptable.
Not acceptable.
Yeah.
Yep. Unacceptable. We're going to talk about that.
That's from their Nikon rep. So
the people that get mad at me because I get mad at Nikon, well, just hang on, man. Go get you a towel to wipe the sweat away, because it's not today, but I'm definitely going to talk about it. That's unacceptable. I don't care what anybody says, and I'm tired of all the excuses. Well, they can't produce. They're a smaller. No, you know what? Get off that train. That train's long gone.
Yeah.
I'm not buying it. Don't announce it if you can't build it.
Right. If you can't produce it and you can't supply it, don't announce it.
I mean, slow is one thing, but non-existent is another.
1 to 2 years, that's out of date by 2 years. They're in normal times.
Yeah, if you think you gained an advantage over another maker because you came out with this lens, it's so great, and it is. I mean, considering
it is.
But you can't get it in the hands of the people for 2 years. Well, it's no longer great.
Yeah,
it's just a fairy tale.
Well, yeah. Well, it turns into you're turning what was a positive scenario into a negative scenario, because now it's like everybody feels like they got a knife stuck in their back that they can't pull out.
Yep.
So you instead of making everybody happy, now you know what, you peed everybody off, so now it's the opposite now.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
A photo. He's getting in his car. He's going to listen. He said he'll pull over if he feels like he needs to type. Good on you, man. Good on you. These streams do work real well, other than maybe the photo reviews, for listening in the background when you're doing something else.
Yeah.
I'm going to re-listen some of my streams as I head to North Carolina next week. I think it's next week. We're still sorting that out for sure. Yaman, good to see you in here. So Jaspreet was bringing up Vero instead of Instagram, saying Vero's becoming a photographer's.
It's I installed it the other day, and it's nice because of you can do landscape, full frame. I mean, everything. Where Instagram's kind of cut back on all that. And
I'm not an Instagram fan at all. I tried putting some stuff on there, but I don't know. It's not my era, maybe, but it just doesn't do anything for me.
I watched the Peter McKinnon had a good video about Vero, and it really tells the differences between it and Instagram. Sounds
Hello,
like
Paul. Hello, Martin.
A lot of people are going to fail.
Alan Barnes from Kent. How you doing, sir? All over the world again. That's great. Doss says, I'm surprised he had that information, the Nikon rep. They either don't know anything about the supply chain or they're embarrassed to talk about it.
Yeah, true.
You got the old, I can neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah, exactly. Charles says he joined Vero, said it's looking good. or no, I'm sorry, Jaspreet telling Charles. Sanjit Sings, how you doing, Sanjit? Good to see you.
Hey, Sanjit.
We got to get you back in the show again. I just haven't figured out when we can do it. I'd like to get you and oh shoot, Gooch in here at the same time. I think it'd be a great show. The problem is Gooch's time slot is so irregular. It's hard for him to make one of the shows that are already scheduled. And for us to go to a time that's convenient for him is just not convenient for all the viewers. So we'll figure something out though. Loving your photos, man, that you're posting. Let me go down there. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, James. There were some wonderful photos Saturday night. Really impressed with the community here. It's nice that everybody shares something different. Sometimes we kind of maybe some of the photos, I'm not going to say overlap, but just by coincidence, three or four people may take a photo of the same subject. But it was great. I really enjoyed it. I love that you guys want to participate in that. Well, that's the reason we do it, because you guys are the ones that said you wanted to do it. So next one will be, I think I said 1 October. I think that's the first Saturday in October. So that's coming up fast already. I don't know where these months are going, man.
They go quicker as we get older, Chuck.
Yeah. I get in from the airport at 7 p.m. So I'll see if I can make it home and get online by then. I'll be back from Florida shooting ospreys.
Yaman said he just finished watching Ted Ford's preview of the X2D and it looks great. Yeah, it does look kind of neat. I like it too, Yaman. I'm not in the market for a camera like that, but I watched Kai and Locke, and just looking at the colors that come out of it. Again, I keep harping on that. They were so rich, man. It really looked nice.
And no video. It's just a camera. I didn't see any video about it.
Yeah, you think a lot of people would be interested in that because that's exactly what it is. It's not a sports camera or a birder camera, but our landscape and studio, it looks like it'll be a fantastic camera. A little expensive, but buy what you want, not what you need.
Well, for that brand though, I remember years ago when they were selling, 30 something megapixel cameras for really $36,000. I mean, they had stuff that was like I can't say no one could afford it, but someone like me who couldn't even think about it.
No, you're right. When they were just Hasselblad, not DJI Hasselblad. I think it turned some people off on Hasselblad when DJI acquired them. I don't know why. Excuse me. Hang on a second. I was just talking to David about that. Man, I runny nose, sneezing, and everything else. I hope it's not a late summer cold. Anyway, I don't know if DJI runs Hasselblad or, you guys that shoot Hasselblad may have an opinion on that. Hey, Nikon, good to see you, man. In from Ireland, in between Zoom calls. Man, brother, you work too hard. You got all that money, and Nikon's got equipment that they can't get to the market yet. You could spend it on, brother. Hoping you get your lenses before long.
Yeah.
Let's see. Nikon rumors said they have no. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier too, Da. It's funny that Nikon rumors, or Peter over there, has now come around to, well, maybe there is something. I don't know. But I think he finally had to open it up and realize that maybe there aren't going to be so many leaks this time, or at least so early. And that does not mean nothing's coming. I think he's finally, moved to that point where he has to keep it open. Otherwise, man, by stating nothing's going to happen just because he hadn't heard anything, and then something happens, that kind of ruins the whole rumor site over there if he goes down that path. So, Roy says mostly, let's see, most Hassie shooters I know stuck with the H system. Okay. All right. So they're not moving over to the new compact digital Hassi system. Man, driving me crazy here. Nikon still.
If the 400 2.8 is in the same boat as the 800 with the time frame, Dave, you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's the next thing that they tell everybody. If you're waiting for 400, you're going to be late.
I was late to the game. I ordered 4 months ago, but so who knows?
Right, but in terms of for most people, 4 months would be unacceptable.
Yeah.
And I mean,
no, this is unacceptable. I mean, period. Come on. and we're gonna get on it. Maybe I'll do a whole stream, just Nikon marketing crash.
And you can't reach out to NPS. They ain't gonna tell you anything. You can say, hey, is there any news? They're gonna tell you, no, your priority. We have you as priority, but that doesn't tell you anything.
Yeah. So I'll hit this real quick. Martin, he's not saying 4 months wait. He's saying that he ordered 4 months ago. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, he could be waiting another year. Who knows?
The rep said in the rep. I'll let you tell it again, David, what the rep told you.
Oh, this was about the 800 PF, but the Nikon rep at our local photography store here said that the 800 PF is a year out for NPS members and up to 2 years for non-NPS members. So, take that for what it's worth.
Not acceptable. It is not acceptable at all. If Nikon knew they were going to have a 2-year backlog on that lens, they should have waited a year to even announce it. I don't get it. I'm missing something here. Does this help Nikon or hurt Nikon that they drop that lens and then can't actually produce it? I don't know. I say it hurts.
If you can't provide the lenses, and I didn't check today, I forgot to check my status of my 500 repair, but up to like 3 days ago, was still waiting for parts. So if you can't fix your product that breaks, and you can't supply a product that you're saying, look what we're doing for you, isn't this a great lens? Which they are, but you can't provide them. I'm sorry. I hate to say this. I went in my local Best Buy, which isn't my favorite place to go anymore. And I looked at the Nikon case and I looked at the lenses they had in there. And the case was literally, I'd say, at least half empty, hardly anything in it at all.
Yeah.
Combination of F-mount, a little bit of F-mount glass, a little bit of Z-mount glass. Then I turn around and I look at basically a whole counter they have dedicated to Sony, and they have a Sony case, and it probably had 2 or 3 flashes in it. The grip.
Some of that's
how many lenses, and they have them in stock.
Some of that's explainable though, Jeffrey. Think about that though for a minute. They've had stuff that was dropped a while ago, and that's the reason they have on shelf products. Now, I'm not giving Nikon a pass here. Don't get me wrong, but I mean that may explain why there are some Sony cameras available and not, Nikon.
Yeah.
But the Nikon doesn't have a lot to show in showcases, at least at the Best Buy level, do they?
Yeah.
No, not really.
So I don't know, and I'm not taking up for Nikon on that account, but maybe as production continues to roll and we see new cameras roll out, I'd like to see them show up in cases somewhere, on display for others to look at. So Dawes talking about the 2 to 600. You're absolutely right. I haven't heard a peep out of anybody on the 2 to 600. Mm-hmm. It's almost like they just decided they weren't going to build that maybe.
Yeah.
We just forgot to take it off the roadmap. Sorry.
Which is a damn shame because that lens is going to sell like hotcakes.
Yeah, it is.
No, they'll have to let Tamron do it for them, I guess.
Well, they already have something similar on the roadmap.
Yeah.
Tamron roadmap. So who knows? And this is your chance, Nikon, to sell your lens or let them sell the one you're going to let them build. And a lot of people will do that too. They're just not going to wait.
And you still to this day cannot order a 400 2.8 or at 800 PF. If you add it to the cart on Nikon's website, it puts it at 0 and it will not let you check out.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. No, unacceptable. Sorry, Nikon. Got to bash you on this. We're going to have a whole show just talking about your marketing strategy again, which is non existent, by the way. X1D, sexy looking camera. I kind of thought so too, Roy. It was interesting looking. If I had plenty of money, honestly, if I had a lot of money, just to throw around, I'd probably get one of those. I just like it. I like the look of it. It's not something I'm going to Jones over, anytime soon, but I thought it was a good looking camera too. And I like the way, I love the color in it. Again, I go back to that. But Yaman is saying it's not necessarily true medium format per se. I didn't catch any of that. Yaman, what's the sensor size in it? Is it not full medium format or typical medium format? I don't know.
Well, they always say the Fujis are not really medium format either, and I don't.
Well, the X1D was like the Fuji, it was the large format or whatever they call it. But is the X2D going to be the same? I thought I heard some mention. I didn't pay enough attention to the video when I was watching, but I thought they mentioned something about that, meaning it was true medium format. Yeah, Nikon's never been known for their marketing. Don't we know that? I thought the Z launch was actually good, honestly, and I thought that was them turning the curve, maybe coming out of that funk that they had been in forever in their marketing strategy. I thought it was good, but we couldn't foresee the desire for this camera, blah, 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 or their typical statements that they use. Just like the 800 PF at, what is it? $6,000, $6,500, David?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
like
An 800 PF, 800 millimeter lens prime at $6,500. And we didn't think anybody'd really want it. So we weren't going to make a lot of them. Right.
And I tell you what, it's a super sharp, sweet lens.
No, well,
well, Paul says, the Best Buy is basically worthless where he is. Well, for photo equipment where I am, it's like the same. You go
all
up,
of them are.
you go
I
up and down the aisles, and you got all the hooks with nothing on them.
I never ever go to or look at Best Buy for photo stuff ever. I mean, the only place to look for cameras or lenses at Best Buy is on their website. There you'll find things. And sometimes you get them even faster. Obviously, people are picking up Z9s through Best Buy, but never in the store. I don't go there for anything photo related.
Yeah. Our Best Buys here suck too. They don't have anything in their camera departments.
It is definitely not a gauge for what's going on in the camera world. That's for certain.
No, they should almost just shut down the camera department altogether because they don't have anything in it.
Even I've got a Nebraska Furniture Mart not too far from me, just a few miles, and it's the same way. Most of it's the lower end entry level stuff. It's not nothing spectacular.
Yeah, every manufacturer, all of a sudden, this just happened a month and a half ago. We started seeing this shortage of supply again. I don't know what the shortage is, whether it's a production issue or whether it's a movement issue, transportation or whatever. I don't know what it is, but it seems like that it is rearing its ugly head again. So who knows what it is? It seemed like the chip manufacturing had picked back up, or at least it was providing for most things. That at least that was alleviated, it seemed like. I'm not saying it's back to absolute normal. Yeah, the supply chain fails again, Paul. Absolutely. And now it's a matter of talking about Nikon so that they hear it and maybe come out and explain to us why. Not that I'm going to hold my breath for that.
Only thing like going back to the 400Z, they must not be shipping many of those, if at all, because there hasn't been anything on YouTube of new people getting them. And usually when people get those in their hand, boy, there's a new video out, and I haven't seen anything.
Oh, that's bad news, James. You can't change credit card information on a back ordered item. You have to cancel an order again. Man.
Yeah, that does suck.
Yeah, it does. That puts some people in a quandary, I guess. Man, nobody wants to get back in line.
No.
No,
that sucks.
Let's see. Perhaps third market lenses were a distraction. Yeah. Third party lenses were a distraction. Yeah, I agree. I agree that well, it was just good, fortunate timing, maybe. I don't think that that it was intentional, but it's just fortunate timing, maybe, Ray. But that's not going to answer the call. Everybody was waiting on certain lenses like that 800 PF, the 400 2.8 TC. Third party's not going to make them happy. Yeah, no, I know that
they better not. They better not say we're coming out with the 200 to 600 and not have a whole bunch of them already made, ready to go.
So Tesla cars are you have to wait for delivery, yes, but for what? See, there's the thing. We can lump something into a particular problem, and that may not be the problem. I think their problem is batteries too. On Tesla, all the batteries are made in China.
Well, China's, there's certain areas that are on total lockdown again.
Yep.
They say they're keeping manufacturing open for now, but as long as they're in a closed loop, which means you live there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Martin.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with you. If the wait time isn't 2 years,
yeah,
it's nice to know, okay, we're about 3 months behind or 4 months behind. Okay, that may not make me super happy, but at least if I had a time frame like that, I'd be willing to wait. But when you're told, well, you're not NPS, well, you probably have a 2-year wait. That's just unacceptable. Well, absolutely unacceptable.
A lot of people, unfortunately, were bashing Bayou Josh when he made a switch over to Sony, but he wanted that 600 f4, and he's got that 600 f4, and the Nikon folks don't have a clue when they're going to see a 600 f4. So, you know what? I can't say I blame them. I mean, if I didn't have the investment I have in Nikon right now, and I was starting from scratch, I might have a whole different viewpoint myself.
Yeah, and I was almost to that point before I got noticed that the Z9s were shipping, the ones I ordered, because I was on my way to switch to the A1. But, all of a sudden it was like, oh, the Z9 shipping. So I held off. But I agree. There's times if I would have walked in the camera store yesterday and there was a 600 sitting on the shelf for Sony, I'd consider switching.
Okay. I don't know exactly what this really means, Tony, but larger than 35 millimeter, I understand that. Smaller than 4x5. So then it is true medium format, because I mean, that sensor falls in that within those specs. So then it's just not maybe what we're used to for medium format. I don't know. You guys are the medium format shooters.
Yeah, I know nothing about medium format.
And Yaman's saying he expects that it's pretty much the same as a GFX. Okay. I'm just grabbing a couple more comments, and then I really want to get into this because, you guys, anybody doing any backyard shooting? Is that something you do? And if it isn't, maybe you ought to try it. I don't know where you live, but there are, I know it's not great. Some people that maybe live in a really built up city area or something like that. But even there may be some opportunities, especially with all the raptors moving to the cities to eat pigeons. Um, but if you have a backyard or a garden, for those of you that are in Europe, I know we're talking one and the same for us, and especially in the South here in the U.S. If you say garden, we're talking about tomatoes, potatoes, green beans, peas, carrots. When we say garden, but
Yeah.
backyard garden, whatever you call it. Um, and I've got a photo up there I threw up on the screen. You can't see it for the banner up there, but that was me in my happy place out behind my house. I've got this waterfowl refuge area back there. It's not huge, but it's large enough that it does bring a lot of waterfowl in and a lot of other wildlife in, especially considering we're in a pretty urban environment here. Um, and I go back there. That's my happy place. I can go back there, set the tripod up, drop the camera on it, and just sit back. And whether something comes along or not, it's just a great place to go spend some time. My wife thinks I'm crazy. I can sit back there for hours with no TV, no radio, no nothing, and just listen to birds and maybe take a photo or two. And I pulled up a few that I'd share with everybody if everybody wants to talk about that. I also have gone as far as to build a perch, not permanent, but I went out and found me a basically a dead tree, not too big, that I could drag up to my deck and lean it against the deck, and then fill it with, not fill it, but find some strategic places to put birdseed in there, and I could actually orient it so I got the backdrop I wanted, and take some photos of birds with and without light. So interested if any of you guys have tried that. Um,
I do it quite a bit in my backyard. I have a old tree that was dying, and I kind of cut all the branches off except for the main trunk, and I have a flat bird feeder on it, and then various perches kind of sticking off of it, and that's where I take a lot of my bird shots. Are just right there. I can sit in my garage, shoot out of a window in all kinds of weather. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, again, I enjoy it. You know, I may not have the most beautiful birds that or exotic birds or whatever, but it's still fun taking photos of them. Even out in the lawn, I've got one up here. I'll pull it up in a minute. Just a bird in the lawn with a mouthful of insects. You know,
There's a video on my channel. It's when I had the Z9 with the Sony 200 to 600 adapted to it, that's taken out of my garage, and it kind of shows a little bit of it if you look at that video.
there you go. He's definitely got a lunch for somebody.
Oh yeah.
You know, nothing exotic, but just fun to sit back there and take a photo or two. Just wondering, does anybody else do this, or am I kind of a lone loon out there? My wife
Uh,
thinks I am.
I shoot in my backyard. I got the retention pond beyond my fenced in yard area, and people can fish in it. No boats, but you could fish in it. And I'll go down to that pond, and a lot of different ducks, mostly ducks and geese, but occasionally you'll get an egret. Once in a while, you'll actually get an eagle that might be hanging around. So it's kind of nice. I mean, sometimes I joke there's more birds in the pond than there were at the nature center. So I can't complain.
Yeah, I know where you're at, Yaman. And it's difficult, but you know, you guys have there's some there are lizards and all kinds of stuff over there too that provide an opportunity. I'm not trying to convince anybody to go out and do it. I just think it's fun myself. And every now and then you come up with a photo that's, you know, nice. Charles saying he hadn't seen much of Josh since he switched. Yeah, I haven't. After I talked to him that one time, he was talking about taking a break from YouTube and had a big job at work that he was working on. But yeah, it's been a while. So I'm wondering what's going on. Hopefully everything's okay with him.
I saw him in a podcast he did about 3 weeks ago. So he's out there, but he hasn't done anything on his channel.
Okay.
He did
All
a
right.
podcast, and I can't remember who it was with. It was pretty good. It kind of talked about, I think he was talking quite a bit about he must have got a lot of negativity when he switched, because the podcast had a lot to do with, social media comments and stuff like that.
I don't know why people can't. What is it about people that they can't? You can get mad at somebody, you can get whatever, but get over it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what he's shooting. He still has, his content was good because of the way he did it.
So for those that got mad and won't watch or whatever, or don't like him or whatever, then they never watched him for the content anyway.
Yeah, they were watching him for whatever he's shooting, I guess,
Yeah.
his equipment. But
that's it. I'm selling everything. I'm buying the Hasselblad and a Z30 to document it. Bird feeders. I have multiple bird feeders out too, which I'm beginning to hate because I have to go bring them in every night because the raccoons will just destroy them overnight. I can't keep the raccoons out of them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go. Coming out of winter, Roy. Plenty of wildlife to brag about. That's always nice. Well, even in the winter here, yeah, I have some friends that come around in the winter. I haven't seen them for the last 4 years or 3 years. I'm sorry. Let me find my boys. Here they are. Same thing I used on the thumbnail, or not the same photo, but the same shoot. These guys back in the creek when it froze over. We had to get rid of them, though. I say I haven't seen them for the last 3 or so years. That's because they were destroying all the ornamental trees in the yards that line the waterfowl area. So people complained enough that, Fish and Wildlife had to come in and remove them.
They got put into a relocation assistance program.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So, I mean, there's a variety. I have a variety of wildlife and birds around here that I can shoot. But again, nothing so exotic as so many people that are fortunate to live in these other areas. Like you, Jeffrey, I have nothing like that. I've got, as far as birds go, I have a belted kingfisher or a few of those that are back there, but I can't ever get back to where they actually land and look or eyeballing the menu in the creek. And I sure can't catch them diving for anything. I've got a great blue heron, a few of those that are back there. I hear them often fighting over territory, I guess, or something aggravating them. They're getting too close to a nest or whatever. I got green herons and ducks, but my ducks I haven't seen lately. I haven't seen them for a while, so I don't know what's going on with the ducks back there. But just interested if anybody else does that and what you do to actually shoot. Like I said, I've made my own perch for them. And the nice thing about that is you can set it up so you get the background that you want. You really get those backgrounds that just melt away. There's another Martin talking. He lives in an apartment complex. He does go to the local park once in a while. Other than that, plenty of nature just a short drive away. Yeah, and I guess that's great too. The only thing about the backyard is it's one of those things you got, you don't want to travel for whatever reason. You just want to go out and shoot. It's nice to be able to walk out in the backyard and see what comes along. So there's some channels on YouTube about guys that do just that. That's all they do, shoot in their backyard. And they have some elaborate setups for attracting birds and other wildlife. Pretty interesting, some of them. All right. So, well, that was interesting, Chuck. Glad you came up with that. All right.
James is saying, yeah, the Eagles are going to show up in the fall at the Conowingo Dam.
Yeah, I got to get
As
there.
it gets
someday.
colder, they will start to make their presence known a little bit more. I mean, there's a nest in the park that I go at, and you could barely see them with a 500 on your camera, and you could see that they're in the tree in the nest, but you don't catch them feeding at all. I mean, once in a while they'll do a flyby with a stick in their mouth because they're building up the nest, getting ready.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, until it gets really, really cold, and believe it or not, it does get cold in Myrtle Beach. I mean, I've been out there when it's 14 degrees with the wind chill, and it will get cold.
Hey, Mike, thanks for sharing. What else we got? We got Mr. Roy. He's just got everything. I got possums here too. I forgot about them. But the problem is, it's no fun shooting at night because even using lights, and I could, but it just takes away from the photograph. The raccoons only come around at night. I don't know why, because I've seen them during the day at a lot of other places, but occasional wallaby and the usual snakes, spiders, etc. Magpies, crows, wow, kookaburras, man, king parrots. You got the whole zoo there, Roy.
He could spend a year just taking pictures of everything that could kill you.
Yeah. I'd have to put me a hide up in the backyard and just sit and watch what comes by.
Surround yourself with an electric fence or put something electric on the ground so nothing can creep up on you and get you.
So Nikon says he sees that Simon Erdely switched from Nikon to Olympus. There are a few people that I've seen switching from other brands to Olympus. That OM1 was a hit. I know a Canon shooter that switched. So Daw doesn't live too far from me. So we've got some great blue herons up here. I've never seen a nest near me, but then again, I think it's a little too congested for them to nest right here. Yeah.
Roy asking if we get possums in America. Yes, we have possums in America.
Yep. I go out and chase the raccoons off at night because I'll take scraps or whatever leftovers, and everybody says you shouldn't do that. Blah blah blah. Well, I don't care. I like them. I like them coming around. But I have to go out and chase them away sometimes when the possums show up because they're pretty. They're bullies, man. When it comes to food, I like the possums. I'd rather have the possums around than the raccoons. Raccoons bring ticks. Possums eat ticks.
Yep.
I've got coyotes here too. Or I was talking about coyotes. I've got them too, but usually only in the wintertime do I see them. I don't know why, but that's when they typically will come around at night, of course. I've got a couple of red fox that I don't see them very often. I've got a bobcat too that shows his face every now and then at the most inopportune time. I just look out the door and there he goes trotting across the backyard.
When you're not ready.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Nikon says don't have snakes in Ireland, just politicians. I thought they were one and the same. What's the difference?
All right, guys. We don't have to keep on this. What do you guys want to talk about? Do we want to start on Nikon and their marketing now, or do we? I mean, what else is going on in the news other than we're still waiting to see what happens with Nikon in the next month? I still think by next month, we're going to hear something. Maybe the 2 to 600, who knows, since we haven't heard anything about it.
Well, that's the thing. They're just, it's been like we were talking earlier. If there's just been no news on anything.
No, and again, everybody's struggling for content.
Yeah.
All the channels because, okay, so people get tired of talking about equipment, especially when it comes to lenses and camera bodies. They get
Yeah.
tired of that. I get that all the time. Yet that's what every channel is waiting for because
Yeah.
those are their biggest attractors for views is
Yep.
equipment and cameras, or lenses. So I'm kind of confused. Do we not talk about it or do we talk about it? I don't know. Apple's announcing a new iPhone. Well, that's I gave up following anything Apple does. I just wait for the headlines afterwards.
Yeah.
And I have old iPhones. I get the hand-me-downs from my wife. That's my iPhone. She gets a new one. I get the old one.
Well,
Still,
there's never any secrets with iPhones anymore anyway.
yeah.
Before it even comes out, everybody knows exactly what's going to be there.
Yeah.
What it's going to be like.
James is asking, I know APS-C cameras label their lenses the same as full frame, and I think the only reason is because you can put full frame lenses on an APS-C camera, but not the other way around.
Well, you can, but you're going to have a lot of
You're gonna
you get that world view, the little
exactly.
donut.
Yeah, it's not makes no sense to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just crop.
Yeah.
Yep.
Try to get the curvature out of it. Oh man. So Nikon marketing is a disaster. Plus Nikon announced the 2-600, then said we can't get the orders out. Maybe a terminal damage for future sales. It could be what's holding them back. Maybe they figured that out. Way too late. Way too late though. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that 2-600. That may be what we see though next month. Yaman says he never gets tired of gear talk. Complete nerd when it comes to tech, any tech, in fact, not necessarily only photography. Cool.
Well, I like seeing what people shoot, but unfortunately, what people shoot doesn't draw in the viewers. I mean, it definitely is gear. Gear talk is the number one attraction by far.
And by no means do I mean that I'm searching for viewers or everything else. Just wanted to be interesting for people to come and sit down and talk camera, photography, or whatever. I don't care the subject, and oftentimes you guys in the audience are great about bringing it up. Finding something that we can discuss. And it's hard to do. If it's hard for me as a live streamer, imagine how hard it is for the guys like Vahagan and those that do videos, and they're constantly searching for what's the next thing I can put out that people are going to be interested in.
Well, the only thing we talked about before the show went on is how quickly the 70-300 went from this is the first Tamron lens that's going to come out for Nikon to you could pre-order it now.
Yeah.
That was. So I wonder how many others are in the queue that are very, very close to. I'm sure there are others in the queue that are very close to coming out as well. I'm sure it's not just that one lens, so that'll make a certain segment of the population very happy.
Well, now that Tamron is, they have a list out of what they plan to do as far as Z-mount glass goes, and they've got a competitor somewhat to the 2-600. It might be a good idea if Nikon got that lens out soon.
Yeah. Looks like J-Rod's kind of hesitant on what to do with between a 100 to 400 or wait for a 200 to 600. I guess it kind of depends on what you're shooting. If you want to wait or not there, J-Rod.
Yeah.
That 100 400's it's a nice lens. It doesn't have the reach, but it does work well with the 1.4 on it. I can't tell you that.
Yeah.
I've shot my 100 to 400 with the 1.4 telly on it, and it works great.
And that gets you in the ballpark of 600 millimeter.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that it's you lose it's something you got to shoot in decent light though when you do that too.
I went out today with the 400 4.5 and I had my 1.4 teller on it, and that thing is great at 6.3. And you're getting what, 560 out of it, something like that.
Yeah. So of course my 1-400, I think native to full frame, that 1-400 is a fantastic lens. It works extremely well. If 400 millimeter is enough for you, but of course I had to buy the 2X TC, and yeah, there are some struggles with that 2X, but it's doable. But I wouldn't say it's extremely fun to take that combination out and try to shoot with it all day.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not the sharpest with it. It works, but
Greg
yeah,
says,
the 1.4 tellies are, you can't get them right now.
Well, see, and that's the problem. People, a lot of people want to hesitate, and they need 1,800 reviews before they're convinced that maybe they'll give it a try, and then complain because they can't get it, because they waited so long and enough information is leaked out, not leaked, but, been produced, that everybody wants it now, because everybody's convinced after the fact that, okay, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I got to have it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you become a beta tester, although I am often, especially when it comes to cameras. If it's a model I want, I want it. I'm not going to wait for 59 reviews. But, you got to pick a point where you're satisfied enough to pull the trigger. Otherwise, you get in that queue waiting, and then that becomes an issue. So,
yep.
Talking about the...
I was just looking at J Rod's comment there about eBay had the 600 f4G under 4K. That must have been like the very first version of the G.
Once all these telephoto lenses, and especially the super telephoto lenses, begin to appear in Z mount, actually winding up in the hands of folks, I think those 600s are going to come down too.
Probably will.
Roy talking about the 80 to 400. I have that lens.
I'm sure there'll be a big weight difference when they come out with a new 600 f4. That'll be a lot lighter, and then everybody will be getting rid of their old glass to save the weight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have the 80 to 400, which I found to be just fine for what I was using it for. But again, I was shooting sports with it, and I thought it was, just fine. I know a lot of people didn't like it. The only thing about that lens is the out of focus area rendering. It's not as butter. Well, it's not butter at all. As you can imagine a zoom being, but I found it okay for what I was shooting with. It's a good lens. Well, hang on a second.
Well, Albert, let's just hope that they don't consider live streaming and driving the same as drinking and driving.
There you go. That's the 80 to 400 in action. Let's see. What else do I have? 80 to 400. That's the 80 to 400.
I never had the 80 to 400. I used to shoot the 200 to 400 f4 lens. That was a good lens.
That's the 80 to 400. That's the 80 to 400. That's the 80 to 400. That's all I had in my D4 days, and I was shooting motocross, so I'd take it out back and shoot, some of the passersby, my hooded merganser. But yeah, that's the 1 to 400 on the Z9. All the little participants in my backyard wildlife show. Oh, well, not everybody has the ability to shoot just in their backyard because they may not have a backyard or a garden. I was thinking about a photo theme for one of these days for our photo review. It might be interesting, but not going to do that to everybody.
Well, a lot of people that live in the cities, as a side thing, they get into architectural photography because, I mean, that's what's around them. That's their environment. They take a lot of architectural photos.
Yeah.
And if you're on, I forget who said they were on the 17th floor or whatever, the only thing you're going to get from there is pigeons, probably. Wildlife wise, you might get some pigeons.
Yeah. The 2 to 400 I wanted years ago. I was really jonesing for that lens, but it was a bit too expensive for me at the time. I just couldn't justify it to myself. And, but there were some people that weren't extremely happy with that lens. I mean, it was like hit or miss. It seemed like for people that had shot with the 2 to 400, they either absolutely loved it or they didn't care for it too much. Some people talking about it was soft on the long end.
Well,
I don't know.
I think that was, I had the VR2 version, which was like the second, and that thing was extremely sharp. I think the first version might have been the one that people were complaining about being soft. I don't know. I had 2 copies, and man, it was sharp. You can still get them right now, $2,800 for the VR2.
So James is asking, what's the best way to take video as you're out taking stills? Mount a GoPro on a camera cage. Well, I thought about getting a GoPro, but I mean, I'm just using a Z9, and I got my monopod that I bought with my gimbal head on it, and I just flip the switch to video, and I shoot my video, and then if I want a still, I flip it back to the stills, and I take a few still photos, and I just go back and forth.
Yeah, if you want to do video of yourself, though, that may be, I don't know if that's what they're talking about, like video yourself, but then a GoPro is the way to go. You can mount that on your camera, or you can just, take it like, I think, who was it? Somebody in here just said it. Yeah, it was Greg. Yeah, Steve Mathis does that a lot. And, just kind of carries a GoPro and films himself as he's walking. And sometimes it's on it. Lately, he's been shooting a different camera mounted to his camera, but kind of depends on what you're wanting to do.
Yeah. I mean, if it's showing what's in front of you when you're walking, you can mount a GoPro on that headband device.
I can tell you, if you ever get a chance and you're in the Tetons, before you go, if you ever get a chance to shoot with Steve Mathis, it's a lot of fun. He's a great guy. I shot with him last year. Super nice and very good at teaching you and showing you tips and tricks on stuff. He's a heck of a guy.
Yeah, I enjoy watching his videos. So he's using the hot shoe mount is what Greg's saying. So that was another option. Yeah. Just to show as he takes photos, what he's looking at, everything else. That's cool. And then when you build your video, as you snap a photo, you can drop it in place right there.
Yeah, I would think if you mounted it on a vest type of a situation where it's at your chest height, that if you got your camera on your neck with a strap, you're going to be, lifting your camera up and blocking the view of the GoPro on your chest, and you may be hitting it with your camera or whatever. I would think that would be a little bit inconvenient.
Yeah. Yeah. You wouldn't want that.
Yeah. Either the hot shoe mount or the hot shoe mount, like you guys are talking about, or the headband mount. Unless you want you in the picture, like you said, then you'd have to.
That becomes a different story. Then you're going to have your
story.
Yeah. And it just depends on how particular you are. I would say a GoPro would be a fine thing to use on a one of the little small gimbals that they have handheld. It's so much easier to walk around with that thing if you're out doing this kind of stuff. I know a lot of people don't want to. Maybe they don't want to carry one when they're walking. Maybe they just want to set it up for static uh, clips,
Yeah.
walking to, walking past, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easier if you, like, Dave, in your situation. I mean, if you have a spouse or a friend that you shoot with, where one person's filming behind, and you have two people, that makes it a lot easier. If you're a one-man show, then it's a little bit more difficult.
Most of the time when I go out and it's just me, I just take my GoPro and I'll hold it out filming myself, or I'll mount it in the hot shoe if I want to just kind of capture while I'm taking pictures or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think of the quality of the GoPro? Because I got a friend that owned several, and I hear conflicting reports whether they really last long for the long haul or not.
I've got the Hero 10, the black.
That's the latest, right?
I think they might be coming out with. I think they're coming out with another one here soon, if not already. But I don't know. The quality's, I think, is pretty good. Most of the videos that are on my channel, if you see me, that's what's filming me. And it's pretty clear. It does a good job. And I just take whatever comes out of camera. I don't color grade it or anything. I can't remember how I have it set up, but pretty basic.
Well, I'll tell you what, that new stabilization they have in the new GoPro is just wild. It is wild how good that is.
It is good. Yeah. And I mount it to my windshield. Like if I want to do some driving scenes, I just mount it to the windshield and record that. But that's all I use is a GoPro out in the field. I haven't taken the Z30 out yet to try it. I kind of like it. I kind of like it just sitting right here where it's at, just permanently mounted.
Somebody just did a video saying it's not for photos, at least in his opinion.
Well,
so
I mean,
I'm just saying, I don't know.
If you don't mind, if you're using your phone all the time and you go from, which a lot of people would be going from their phone to that, it's going to be very natural for them.
It will. It will.
It's not going to be any different.
I took it out the other day just to mess with it, and I put the 400 on it. And that's the thing. You just have to kind of hold it out and look at the back of the screen. It worked fine. Takes great pictures.
That's the new way to shoot anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I had to laugh. Well, I had to laugh the other day. There was I was at the beach with the wife because she's off this week. So we went to the beach early in the morning, and there was, I'm going to say the guy was a professional photographer, and it was a woman and her husband and their small baby. And they were taking pictures under the pier, and it was probably getting around 9 in the morning. So the light was getting a little strong. And of course you got the reflection off the ocean in the background and whatnot, but he was holding the camera way in the heck with his arms out like this, way in the heck out, taking pictures, and no flash. And I'm like, you got to use a flash, man. No, not using a flash. I'm like, okay, that'll be interesting to see how those come out, but I don't know. I felt like yelling, "Where's your flash? I hope you're not charging them too much."
Yeah, Greg Wilson, I am going to get another Z30 because we're building a studio out down here in the basement. My wife's going to be down here with me, and I'll have a second camera set up for one of these nights. She'll join us on the stream, and I can switch back and forth between the two of us. That's the plan.
It'll be like dueling Z30s. You'll have to remember that instrumental, dueling banjos. You'll have to have that music playing in the background.
Yeah.
No, James, I did not get a Z30 yet. I'm not opposed to the Z30. Like, again, my initial cause for rebellion was the fact that I was concerned it would eat up production space. And I didn't think the Z30 was quite the camera that deserved to come out so quickly. But anyway, it seems like it's a good camera actually, considering what they used to build the camera. It obviously works well. Look at Dave up there, man.
Dave's
Looking
looking
good.
sharp, and he's looking sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just I wish it had some better, faster glass for it, which it will once this Tamron stuff comes out.
Yeah.
But I tell you, this kit lens it works great. This is just the 16 to 55.
Yeah, I see more comments on holding the camera out there like that. I have shot off the back of the Z9 with the screen. Not much, but I have. And I think stabilization is one of the things that I consider an issue when I'm holding the Z9 out there. You're not going to do that with the 1-400.
Yeah.
or even the 24-70 2.8. You're not going to do it long.
Yeah, they're light, but they're not that light.
Yeah. So stabilization's a bigger issue. You can get a couple of shots off, but yeah, it's not an all-day thing for me. I'm sorry, I'm not going to shoot like that. But I know it.
You just plug in an HDMI cable into the back of your computer with that?
With what?
With using the Z30 as your camera?
My Z30 right now is currently going through a 4K capture card, a Elgato capture card. But you can just plug it directly with the USB-C cord right into a port, and it works perfect. And it keeps your camera charged while it's doing it. Yeah, it works great.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would entertain that camera for, would be a streaming camera.
Mm-hmm.
I
mean, that's what it was designed for, streaming and vlogging. Yeah. Really, that's really what it was designed for.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't have to go through a capture card like I'm doing, but because I've done it both ways, the USB-C cord works just fine. But then you have to use the Nikon webcam utility to do that way.
Okay.
I would still use a switcher also, only because I like the idea of being able to go to multiple cameras within the stream.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got it set up now that I can do that, to include even using the, my video. No, you can't see it. I'm gonna run out of cord to actually hold it up here.
Just basically a switch box. You just got like an ABC switch box or whatever.
Yeah. Greg Wilson. Yeah, you can plug the Z30 right into the computer. You just hit a USB port with it. You just need a cable, USB-C cable, and it can go to a USB-C to USB-C or USB-C to, the standard.
To do that, do you have to go to the Nikon streaming software or whatever it's called?
You have to use the webcam utility. Yeah.
Webcam Nikon utility, or you can buy, the Elgato Cam 4 link, and you've got a card. So
yeah, there's many different ways to do it.
Yeah, this is such a cool little device. I mean, it's so simple to use. This is the Cam 4 link. Basically, it's HDMI into the back of the link, and the link is the card for conversion.
Yeah.
And then USB, which now I've got to get because I only have USB-C on my new laptop, so I just need to get a link or a little converter to go to USB-C. But yeah, it's just that simple, man. And you're up and running. And the nice thing about it is maybe webcam utility works well too. I know a lot of people use it, but it just seems like it's kind of glitchy or something.
Ronald has got a question. I don't know about the Atmos Ninja 5 or any external stuff with the Z30. I assume you probably could. I don't know why not. You're going to the only thing about the Z30 is it's got a mini HDMI port instead of a full size HDMI port. So, I'm assuming it's just, as long as you have the right cables, I'm sure there's no reason why you can't hook it up to an external Atmos Ninja or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's just going to feed the Atomos. The Atomos has
Yeah.
the out to wherever you're going with that signal.
Yeah.
Whether it's your computer or whatever.
Shouldn't be any different than really feeding it the way I'm feeding it through the computer.
Yeah, it's just a throughput.
Yeah.
Need a studio tour, man. You might not want to see it.
Yeah, you don't want to see the back of what I'm looking at.
Same here. Same here. And
It's
somebody asked
nothing but
me,
cables.
somebody asked a while back if I could explain it, and I got to tell you, it was some trial and error. I'm not a tech nerd, so it was some trial and error. Let's hook this up. No, that don't work. Let's hook this up. No, that don't work. But at least I've got it sorted out now. I dread moving because even if I label the cables, I know it's not going to go back together the same way. It just won't. I know that.
Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, Greg. Jeff's just using his laptop and it looks great.
Yeah, this is my just my Mac Studio that I bought.
I can't remember. Are you using a internal mic on the Mac Studio or is it an external?
No, I have a USB mic I'm using, and unless Chuck says that I'm breaking up, and then I switch.
No, man, it sounds great.
You're solid today.
Solid today.
Mr. Pollard, how are you, sir?
You recover from your golf. I hope you recovered from your golf adventure.
Somebody blowing the horn outside.
Yeah, he should come on, Chuck, and share a few more of his golf photos if he's allowed to.
Yeah, I think the embargo's lifted now. He can share. Yeah. Oh, how are you today, sir? He says, trying to, Jeff. So what? Man, there's just nothing. No news, no nothing. I guess hey, thanks, Craig. He says everybody's got great audio today. It's working. There you go. That's good.
We can break that record. Have Ron come on. And no audio will have a problem.
Yeah, I know, man. That really sucked. I like it when Ron's on here.
Yeah. I'm sitting sideways because I got a Charlie horse in my leg because I got my dog underneath my desk, so I can't stretch my legs out. I wonder if Con there from Grays will be looking at this Hasselblad, Chuck, because he's been wanting 100 megapixels. So there you go.
Oh, I would imagine he'll be interested in taking a look at it, no doubt about it, because you're right. He's looking for a higher megapixel camera. Man, there you go. We can get that topic going. That stirs everybody up. Why do we need higher megapixel? We don't need it. Some people do. The whole point is, let everybody have. And that's the other thing. If Nikon were to announce that, the Z7 III is going to come out, let's say, and it's going to be 100 megapixel or whatever, people will be losing their minds. Well, I don't want a 100 megapixel camera. It's too much. Who needs it? And then they're going to try to talk everybody out of wanting it or whatever. Hey guys, there'll be more cameras. Hey, that's Ronald, a great thing.
Pollard wants you to send him a link for today. He wants to try his audio.
All right. All righty. We can do that. On the way, Mr. Pollard.
Nikon Rumors just posted a new article.
I just pulled it up and looked.
Yeah. It wasn't there
What do
a
they
little
say?
bit ago.
What are they saying now?
It's about a new fast wide angle ASPH lens for Z mount. Nissi, I guess. I've never heard of that.
They were, all I knew about Nissi was their filters.
Oh yeah,
That's the same company.
It probably
all right,
is.
Mr. Pollard, how are you today, sir?
Please tell me this is good.
Dang it.
I knew it. Although the picture is good, you're looking good. You're looking healthy.
Yeah, good picture. He's so disgusted he's just walking away.
He's running away from us now.
Don't know what it is, man. I have no idea.
It's strange.
I reset the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's got to be bandwidth. I mean, I don't know what else it could be, because it's the same on any platform you're using, phone.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Computer.
Live streams are tough, Ron. You know, you have to learn to be able to swim upstream on the live stream, baby. You can't get caught going downstream. That's the problem. You're being washed away.
That's so weird, because, you know, past live streams when he's been on, it worked fine.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you set up a Faraday cage down there in your basement?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Have
are you in a different room than you used to be, or something like that?
He's froze now, so that's why I go back
Have
to
you
bandwidth.
tried, well, if he's still there, have you tried a new cable from where your internet comes in to your Wi-Fi adapter? Maybe you got a bad cable or something.
See, I have no signal for him here. Network connection gone now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I knew if you got him to come on, he'd break the record of having good audio for the show. I knew that would change.
So
I wish he was close to me. I love diagnosing stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a computer nerd, so.
Yeah, I tell you, I got tote boxes full of cables. You know, audio visual cables, HDMI cables, converters, all sorts of.
I mean, you know, if he hasn't
splitters.
changed anything from when it was known to work, it's kind of sounds to me like maybe he's got a bad connection to his Wi-Fi router, or his Wi-Fi router is just going bad and he needs to take it to whoever he supplies it and get it swapped out with a new one.
All right, I just pulled up the new Hasselblad on so it's a 43 by 33 millimeter BSI CMOS sensor. So 43 millimeter, is that not what was once considered full HD or full medium format?
Well, medium format is so subjective, because like the old Raleighs were 6x6, and then the
reason I'm asking,
6x9s, and you had a lot of different formats.
let's see. No, that's not giving me anything else. Well, okay. So
I get a little confused when people say this isn't really a medium format.
That's where I'm at right now, and that's the reason I'm asking. What is the considered true medium format?
Okay, Roy is saying 43 millimeters is still small for medium format.
Okay.
Okay, so what would be considered the equivalent of what medium format was in the 50s? You know, on a film camera, what would the sensor have to be? That would be the question.
$81.99. That's a reasonable price for a carry around camera.
You know, it's funny when you look at it from the front, other than the extrusion on the back of the grip, it looks very much like a Z9. It has that little window on the top, the display on the top, like the Z9 does. It has the bulbous grip on the front, but then it also has like a mini bulbous area behind, you know, in the back, like where the power button is. So it's an interesting looking design to the camera.
It's a sexy camera.
It is, yeah.
You know, it's
from capturing
.645 is the smallest film, medium format. Okay, so here we go.
Well, that's all on the. It was still 120 film, but when you shot it in a 6x9 camera versus a 6x6, you'd get less shots per roll.
Hang on a minute.
That's all.
What's the X? What was not X, but the H2S? Or give me a Hasselblad digital back. All right, I'll just do.
Okay, Roy is saying 645, which is 6x4.5, is the smallest film medium format. Phase 1 and Hasselblad are 53.4 by 40 millimeters.
Come on, I don't want this. I don't want to explore. I want photography. All right. Come on. I don't want film. Trying to find one of the Hassi digital cameras. H system. Here we go. Somebody just dropped in. Hang on, I'll be right with you. H system cameras. Here's a 100 right here. Let's see if it'll give me a sensor size. Yep, 53 by 40. There you go. That's the old H system. So I got you now, Mr. Roy. I understand what you're saying.
So you were saying that their sensor is 43 millimeters?
Yeah, this one's 43 and what I'd say, 54 or 53. 53.4 by 40 was the H series Hasselblad, which everybody considers medium format. And the new one is, what was it, 43? Like you said, I can't remember. I think 43. So, oh, by the way, the H6D is temporarily out of stock at $32,995.
I remember seeing those advertised in photo magazines, you know, and I skimmed through them and I'd see the price of them and I start to have a heart attack.
Sorry, that was me. I had to exit and rejoin because that Hasselblad webpage was in a loop of audio.
All right, let's bring Mr. Ronald back in and see what we got now. Mr. Ronald. No audio? Okay. All right, brother. We got to figure it out though. We're gonna have to do a phone call or something.
Hey, Ronald, I don't know if you heard me. Maybe you dropped out. Have you tried checking your cable from where it comes in to the back of your Wi-Fi for your internet connection? maybe try a new cable.
I think he has to call Best Buy and get the Geek Squad to come out with their little van.
Well, sorry, brother. All right.
Try
Should be doing a
hardwire.
phone commercial. Can you hear me now? Can we
Hey.
hear you now?
Try hardwire, and if you still have an issue with that, then you have an internet issue with your provider.
Yep.
You can get
All
them
right,
to come
brother.
out, have them come out and do a test of your line too, or they could do that
Yeah.
remotely. Have them call them up, and they can remotely test to make sure that the signal's getting to your house.
Hey, squirrels can wreak havoc on lines. I don't know how his house is fed, but they can definitely mess stuff up.
I had a whole circuit in my house where the lights went out, and because a squirrel or something was up in the attic and actually chewed through the power line.
Yeah.
And that cost me an arm and a leg to have the electrician figure that out, what had gone wrong, because some rooms worked, some rooms didn't work. It was a mess.
Yeah, when
Ron, shoot me a text if you find anything out.
When my internet line used to come in overhead, and that's what happened to mine. Squirrels chewed through it.
How is am I clear?
Yeah, your video looks good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why the
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
We'll go and I'll take a sign language course, and then you could just do this, and then we'll translate and then tell everybody what you're talking about.
Yeah.
hardwire?
We love you, man. We love you, man. We really do. We just wish we could hear you.
All right.
I like how Manila Martin says, I just thought it was weird that all the YouTubers kept mentioning Scandinavian design, no mention of DJI. But, well, Scandinavian design, well, look what happened to Saab. That was Scandinavian, wasn't it? They're not around anymore.
Yeah, Mike, it's not on my end. I even checked it, but I don't know why I checked it. It really can't be in my end because it's always with
It's
Ron.
only with
His
Ron.
audio.
Yeah. We'd all be having issues if it was your end.
Yeah. PBS Studio Photo. Haven't seen you before, sir. Glad to see you in here. Please join the conversation. All right. So we got. So talking about medium format film cameras over here. All right. Well, now at least I know. I went back when I checked the H6D being at 54 by 40. Now I know what the standard or what's considered standard medium format. Got it. Checking things out. Well, welcome. Absolutely. Check us out. It's a roundtable photography site where you can jump in. I open the door. We let everybody in and we just start chatting. It can be about anything. And the live streams here always go 3 hours at least. I'm not bragging about that because it whips me. But we do 2 streams a week, Wednesdays at noon Eastern time, and then on Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And we have a lot of people that come in and chat from all over the globe. You'll see an international audience in here today. And you're welcome to participate. Share your opinions. We're all about that. We all want to share our opinions, and you kind of get a voice here where you can actually talk about what you want to talk about. And love to see you hang around with us. Medium format Z mount. Some people may not agree.
I'm on PBS Studio Photos YouTube page right now.
All right.
Now, one thing that someone had mentioned, they thought with medium format sensors, you had more problems with diffraction, but I'm on the B&H website, and basically they're saying that, the higher resolution, larger pixels afford better efficiency with light gathering, better signal to noise ratio, improved color and tonal rendering, which is what you guys were talking about when you were looking at samples from the Hasselblad. Greater edge-to-edge definition, dynamic range, which of course it is better dynamic range. It was 15 stops, I believe, of dynamic range. And it says it limits the effects of diffraction. It does not, and it's the opposite of what someone had commented on.
A lot of people shooting.
Roy just made a statement about the Z mount could possibly support that medium format sensor. I think Matt Irwin early on even said that.
Back when the mount was when the Z mount came out with the Z7, he was already talking about it, I think, back then.
Yeah.
Then we got to have new lenses.
Yeah, they'd have to come out with another medium format lineup.
Which, if you're an MPS member, you get within a year.
Yeah.
If you're not, you have to wait 2 years to get your medium format lenses.
We're only an hour and a half in. It's too early to come full circle.
Hey, maybe part of their plan is they announce it. You see how much it costs, then they say you got to wait 2 years, and they figure, hey, we're doing you a favor. You got 2 years to save up the money so you can afford to buy it.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Problem is there's a lot of people out there wanting to give them money right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Roy's saying most Z mount lenses should work on that sensor, right?
Okay.
I think that's what Matt Irwin said as well, if I remember right.
So here you go. I'm ignorant when it comes to this. I'll ask the question, throw it out there. As Kai was talking about the camera, the lenses have the shutter built in.
Oh, really?
So, but you can shoot
because their lenses are all the old
leaf shutter, I guess.
The old leaf shutters. Yeah.
So is that the case for all the lenses, medium format lenses, Roy? Let's see.
I would be surprised if the Fuji ones are leaf shutter.
I've never heard that.
I don't think they are, but I can look it up.
Mr. Hassan, how are you, sir? Nikon's in here on a good break, man. I like to see that. He's finally got a moment to chat. So let's carry this way forward. Now we can tie it to Nikon. And Matt Irwin will be extremely happy that we're talking about Nikon in medium format. I'm not so much in favor of that right now. Again, I think I made that comment on one of his videos. I'd rather see Nikon get these other cameras out first. But, a lot of people have been talking about Nikon, the new Z mount, accommodating a medium format sensor. But now we know that it would probably have to be the new small medium format sensor. I don't know what we call it. So I don't know whether
it's like better than 35 millimeter, but not truly the same as the equivalent to the old style medium format cameras. You know,
There you go. There you go.
You're somewhere in the middle.
Now you want to
unless you get the old Hassie like you were talking about,
right?
You know, the larger sensor, then that's basically an equivalent.
So you want to get Con Grays of Westminster going, make him happy, then start down this path of Nikon putting the new mini or the new mini medium format. I don't know what to call it. Sensor in a Z body, especially considering sync speeds, flash sync speeds, and everything else with the leaf shutters. Man, that for him, I'm sure, is a portrait shooter's dream.
I mean, that's what you had on all the cameras from the 50s. They were all leaf shutters.
There you go. Rob Hall's podcast, there was a photographer who uses Canon glass on Fuji XF100s.
Interesting.
So the question is could we use, well, you're not getting the best of the sensor if you used, I guess, just full frame glass with a body that has a mini medium format sensor in it. I don't know. You brainiacs got to tell me how that would work. But only 40 megapixels. Okay. Yeah, it's true too. Once once e-shutters are fast enough or there's enough throughput, data movement, then there won't be a need for mechanical shutters at all. Well, we're kind of on the verge of that now, aren't we?
Yeah, the Z9s prove that.
Yeah, I think it's got a lot of room for improvement. I mean, they've got a lot more technology that they can tap into, but that's the proof that it can be done. And I'm sure it can be done a lot better, but that was the initial shot across the bow for everybody else. So he says there's no vignette. You talking about the Rob Hall? Is that the same guy that does all the Godox testing and everything? He has they renamed the channel. He's the guy that does all the lighting, Godox, testing Godox against Profoto and others. And if it's the same guy I'm thinking of, his name's Rob Hall too, but they have a new name for the channel.
Yeah, the Fuji lenses are not leaf shutter type. It's just conventional lens design. So that's something unique to the Hasselblad.
Roy says using full frame glass would be using the worst part of the lens with a medium format sensor. Yeah, because you're using it all, aren't you? Like, yeah, a lot of good points coming up here. Edges have smearing and aberrations.
Yeah, I think is Rob Hall's channel called Sharpen now?
Maybe that's it. Yeah.
I think it's called Sharpen. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So tilt shift would work with a medium format sensor. Is that what you're saying, Roy? All right, here we go. We're building the new medium format Nikon Z body. That's what the Z8's going to be.
Well, some people were saying it could be 80 megapixels or 100. When China came out with that picture, everybody was trying to ascertain that and imply that, which could be totally bogus. But people were playing guessing games.
All right, you guys carried on. Let me run to the little boy's room. I know it's more information you needed, but I'm always transparent here. Hope everybody hang on for a few minutes. Let's go down this medium format path. It sounds like it's going to be fun. We can start a whole new rumor here.
Yeah.
PB Studio Photo, are you still in here? Where are you located at? If you are in here.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, like they said back in the day, I always use that term, back in the day. That means I'm old. You say back in the day, but the medium format cameras of the 40s and the 50s and that era, they all had leaf shutters in the lenses. I mean, that was the way to go. And the advantage was that you could shoot at high shutter speeds and still sync with your flash. That was the biggest benefit to that.
PB Studios in Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, Roy's saying all Hassie phase 1 or leaf shutters, Fuji's the only focal plane. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure some people will say, "Oh, gee, wouldn't it be great if that Hasselblad did video?" But they don't have room for it, man. If they're putting a 1 terabyte solid state drive inside the body of that sucker.
Is that what's in there? A 1 terabyte?
Yeah, they got a 1 terabyte solid state drive built in, and 1 CFE Type B card slot.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. That may be the future. But once again, you start doing that, then everybody that says, "Oh, the Z9's too big. I want something the size of an A1." Well, that ain't going to happen when you start putting SSD drives built into a camera body. Obviously, that medium format body's pretty big. And my argument with that is, I don't have a problem when you do it, but you need to design the hard drive so basically you can turn a lock or whatever and pull it out like you're pulling a hard drive out of your bay storage system or whatever. You need to be able to take it out, buy a new drive, and put it in. You'd want that if you needed more than 1 terabyte. You want to be able to pull it out and put a new one in, or if it breaks, you don't want to have to send it back to the manufacturer to get fixed.
Yeah. PB Studio, I'm with you. I'm looking for a D500 mirrorless as well. As long as it's upwards of 30 some megapixels.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, have a 33, 36 megapixel APS-C would be pretty darn good.
So, talking about this internal memory, everybody was harping and screaming, "Man, I wish Nikon would do that. That's what they need to do." And now Hasselblad's done it, and all we're doing is picking it apart. But it might go bad, and what do you do? Well, I don't see anything on that camera that shows you that would allow you to remove that internal memory.
I've always said I wish the Z9 allowed you to plug in using the USB-C to plug in an external SSD, but I wouldn't necessarily want it to be built in. But if you're doing video, it would be nice to be able to plug in an SSD externally, mount it on a bracket or mount it however you want.
And there are people that are harping on that. That's a bad idea because of connecting it to the, now you're talking about connecting an outside source to the processor. I mean, to capture data. Somebody brought it up and they were talking about it, how it's different than a card.
Well, yeah, anything that's closest to your data flow. If there's a chip right next to the chip and they're they're reading, you know, eighth of an inch apart in the data, it's going to be a million times faster. But, you know, there's practicality, and then there's.
So the only good that would do is because nobody wants something dangling from their camera as they're running around taking photos. I could
Yeah,
see
it'd be
the
studio work.
yes, or mounted camera for studio work,
Yeah.
or maybe video work with a cage.
Oh yeah,
and
video
everything else.
work, like that cage that you bought for your Z9.
Yeah.
You could probably get a piece of Velcro.
Well, no, you don't even have to do that. You don't even have to do that.
Plug it in.
No, you don't even have to do that. There are actually attachments for cards and external memory. I don't like it. I'm not buying into it. If I were to buy into it, it would be internal, and I'm going to take that chance. You know, that if so, I guess what I'm saying is maybe for Hasselblad, and you're shooting these large files, but you're still not blasting files. You're not taking 6,000 and 7,000 photos at a wedding, or 5,000 or 2,000 or whatever.
Yeah, and you're not doing video anyway.
Well, not on the Hasselblad.
Not on the Hasselblad.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, maybe it's a good idea. Maybe it'll work there, but I'm not into it. Everybody else is into this whole idea of all this internal. I guess everybody's trying to save money on cards. I don't know.
Well, the trouble is you put it inside. Look at the size of that camera. I mean, that's why you can fit it.
Yeah. You know, I don't know what the speed of the Z9's USB-C port is.
Yeah.
You know, it's a USB-C port, but doesn't necessarily mean it's extremely fast port. Because you can put different flavors of those in there. It doesn't have to be a fast one. I've never transferred pictures from my camera to my computer to see the difference between pulling the card out and put it in the, you know, CFX Express reader. So it may be, it may be that it's just too slow to do something like that. I don't know.
Well, if it makes the body bigger, they're already complaining about how big the Z9 is. It makes the body bigger. Nobody's going to want it anyway because the body's supposedly so big and heavy now. You can't deal with it. So,
well, and some of it's, you know, it's cooling is really what affects that. You know, my computer has a 1 terabyte NVMe chip in it. They're not big. It's like a stick of gum.
Yeah.
But they put off some heat, you know, so you enclose it into a you know, little camera body, you know, that's the problem. It's heat.
Yeah, Ray's bringing that up now.
We go to Fuji route. You add the fan, right?
Yeah,
the fan option.
Well, didn't the Canon R5C or whatever?
They put a fan in that.
Yeah. How ridiculous.
That to me, you got to put fans on your cameras. I'm sorry, you got a design problem.
Yeah.
And you just came up with a Band-Aid fix, and you're going to try to convince everybody you planned it that way, and that's the way to go. No, it means you didn't design it right to begin with.
Yep. Now, you know, chips and storage and all that changes a lot. So it's real possible in the future they could put internal storage in there and still not have to have as large a body.
Well, yeah, if you had it in the below, let's just play games here. You know how you slide out your battery compartment. You know, if it was that type of thing, and that was a little bit deeper, and you slid out the SSD drive.
Yeah.
And then it's on the outside of the camera, so it's not heating up inside the camera really. It's more towards the outside of the frame of the camera, and then you could probably dissipate the heat.
Yeah, through your hand while you're holding.
Through your hand, yes. In the winter, it would be great because your hands wouldn't get cold anymore when you're shooting.
That's how you remember the story I told you about the R5 I had? That's what it was doing. That thing, for whatever reason, was burning.
The thing about
my hand.
the R5 is that was you know, and then we can get into the big discussion about how it tears up electronics heat. But I mean, that was a the cripple hammer that they used, because they just used a firmware update to open it up so that you can go into high heat mode or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
So, do you really believe that Nikon in a Z6 or Z7 body can dissipate heat like the Z9 does, or is it going to experience the same thing?
Yeah. I
It's
don't
just
know.
going to get hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, obviously they can make it work. So PBS is saying, I just need a Z camera that's good enough for sports and action. My Z6, Z6 II are horrible for sports. That's the only reason I keep my D500. Yeah, well, that's what we've been saying. That's what we've been harping on here for the last months. Is Nikon filling up the team? Right now we have nothing but a Z9, and watch people attack me again. Well, you got the Z6. It's a great camera. I'm streaming on the Z6 right now. It is a great camera, but it's not the greatest camera. Okay. The greatest camera can't exist. So let's get that out of the way. The Z9 already proved it. All they have to do is bring that tech to those other two bodies, and we're in like Flynn. And then the Z8, they can do what they want with, make it, the speed demon, the video monster, the all arounder, or whatever. But we've got platforms. All they have to do is drop the new tech with the new processor in it, and we're good to go. So that's what we've been yelling about. PBS is Nikon's behind, not because they're behind on tech. It's because they're behind on production, and they need to pick it up pretty quick.
Yeah.
There are some internals that we're looking for in the updates to those cameras for video and things like that, that other cameras are already doing, 10-bit internal and such. So yeah, that just needs to happen. And hopefully here in another month, we're going to find out whether it's going to happen or not. I mean, this year.
Yeah, I mean they're just behind flowing the technology down, which Sony already has the technology flow down to their lower end cameras, and that's what's hurting Nikon right now.
I'm not so nostalgic that I'm connected to that sound. At first, I thought it was strange when I, shot the Z9, but I'm used to it now. It didn't take long to get used to it either.
Well,
And
as a wildlife photographer, you don't miss it at all, because when I was shooting my D850, it would scare birds away. That thing was so loud and clunky,
And
so
if you were a court photographer, back in the day, you might have used a Leica because that had a real quiet shutter. You wouldn't use a conventional camera because they'd be too loud in the courtroom. So, and like you said, and then with the birds, being able to put it in silent mode or make it so you could barely hear
the little
sound.
electronic sound on the Z9 is plenty for me.
I mean, the birds, it doesn't. My friend shoots his D500 next to me, and I'm recording, and I hear his rat tat 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 tat.
Yeah.
A good thing I voice over on my videos. Otherwise, I would just have his camera noise in my videos all the time.
Yeah. So I'm okay with the silent shutters now, or electronic shutter. Not every camera is good for everything. Absolutely, David. It's not physically possible to do that, as you know, and we all know. But that's the great thing. Nikon has a lineup right now they can have a lineup right now. They have the bodies ready, are already out there, the Z6 body, the Z7 body, and whatever the Z8 is going to be. So you can please pretty much everybody by 3 different model cameras, but everybody wants the same thing in every camera.
Yeah.
It's not Build-A-Bear, people. You can't just walk into the shop and build your own camera.
And we want it all for $19.99, $95.
Yeah, of course. Of course, there's going to be some, you're going to lose some features in a more affordable camera. I can't say cheap anymore. I get slapped for saying cheap. More affordable camera.
I just tell people cheap is what birds say to me. That's it.
Cheap.
Cheap, 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 cheap.
So, Simon over at Ordinary Filmmaker did his testing with his R5 and, after the firmware update. And, I think it worked out fine for what he was doing. It may not have been the highest scenario because he is up in Canada, but I think they're showing us what we can expect too from Nikon in a similar size body. So, but we better get ready for it. I wouldn't be cracking any more jokes about Canon overheating. It may come back to bite you in the butt.
That's real possible.
No, because what Nikon will do is they won't let it do that. They will shut it. They will limit the time.
Well, then
was that.
Then everybody will be complaining about that. So there you go. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
You can't have your cake and eat it too. No. Yep.
But if everybody complains and everybody wants the longer recording limits and it's opened up, then guess what? Nikon becomes the second to become a barbecue device.
Yeah.
Not going to make everybody happy. It's just the way it is.
Oh, you use Godox on your Z9, right, Chuck? You don't have an issue.
Only in manual. I can't use TTL.
Okay. And
that's the big issue with the other brands of flashes. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's not Nikon's fault, though. I want to blame Nikon, but it's not their fault. Why? Because they didn't build the flash. Godox did or Flashpoint did. It's Flashpoint's issue to fix.
And I thought when I looked at some Godox flashes, they implied that it worked with the ITTL system on the Nikons.
And maybe you can't. Maybe the new ones do. The new Flashpoint speed lights do. Even the trigger that I have for my Flashpoint lights, it won't shoot in TTL. So it's just the way it is. Buyer beware, caveat emptor. Nikon never said, hey, we're going to build cameras into the future, and no matter what, we're going to make them compatible with every third-party flash that's out there.
Well, that's one thing the Sony cameras have is that, what is it? Their digital hot shoe? Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, I remember one of Bayou Josh's last videos he did. It was something to do with the mic that he put in that thing. And it was incredible. The mics that they have for that digital hot shoe. I wish Nikon would do something like that.
Well, is the digital hot shoe just providing power directly to the mic so you don't have any cable?
It does power, and it's the way it communicates. It's totally different than what the Nikon hot shoe is. Totally different.
Yes. It's not a dumb hot shoe.
No.
And that's what Nikon has, from days gone by. Who knows? But I don't think they need to upgrade it. I don't like what you get with the other hot shoe. It just brings about more problems for third party as well. Greg Wilson, where's Mozman and Vahagan? Mozman is taking a short break. He'll be back. Vahagan was gone for the weekend. Just got back, talked to him last night.
He was in Vegas.
You guys may have seen his video he did while he was out in Vegas. And I guess he got caught up with something. He was going to try to make it in here, but I think he may have gotten caught up in something. I don't know whether it was something at home that he had to do or whatever, but I talked to him last night. He was going to try to make it. But he's around. Darren Francis, how's it going, buddy? Yeah, Roy's talking about Sony's digital hot shoe easily damaged by dirt, etc. I'd rather use not. Yeah, I'm with you, Roy. I think keeping it simple for now.
I wish they at one time they used to have hot shoe covers that they would give you with the cameras when you bought them, and now they don't give them to you anymore, and it's just a doggone cheap piece of plastic, and it's like, I don't know why they can't make sure they put that in the box with the cameras. I mean, what's it going to cost them? 5 cents?
Yeah.
Not if you're buying it.
Well, yeah, it would be $5 if you
You
want
could
to
probably
buy
order
it.
one and get it next year.
You know,
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I use the rubber covers that used to come on the flagships. I buy those and use them on all the bodies. Not that it's waterproof. It certainly isn't waterproof.
keeps the dust off of it though.
Yeah.
Well, they had D850 had a nice slide on cover on the hot shoe with the rubber on it.
Did it? I don't remember getting one of those. I remember getting the little plastic puck you stick in the.
Yeah, I think that's what mine was, just a plastic puck.
Yeah, here's mine. Oh, and it's actually rubber on the top.
Huh.
And
I don't have. I
No,
don't remember.
You got a fluke,
plastic.
man.
It's plastic.
Yeah, mine didn't come like that.
It's plastic on the inside. Well, you can't. Not enough light here for you to see it, but the outside cover is all rubber and it just slides across.
Well,
but I think it had a separate part number. You had to buy it.
I was going to say mine didn't have it. Mine came with the
you
typical
had to
plastic.
buy it. It was.
Here's how much I worry about it. Right here. Here's how much I worry about it.
Yeah, mine aren't.
There you go. There you go.
And for those who missed the sound, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, I bought the rubber ones that came on the flagships. Like I can't remember the nomenclature for it, but I bought an extra one of those because one, I'm constantly losing them. You know, I have it on there.
Didn't even pay attention. Did the Z9 not come with one?
Oh, yeah,
No.
Yeah,
I didn't get anything with my Z9.
Yeah, they do. It's in there.
Yeah, here it is. This fancy thing.
Oh, that.
So there it is. So, you know, if it's good enough for Nikon, it's good enough for me. It won't void the warranty.
Yeah.
What I used to lose all the time on the old cameras when they had like the little plastic buttons that you put in the PC sync connections on the bodies. They had a little round piece of plastic. Yep. And you go to buy any camera now, nobody has those pieces. They're all missing.
Yeah. So now, how much more are we going to lose if you put internal memory in the camera and people can pull it out and fiddle with it? Oh, by the way, I broke the door on I didn't break it. It just popped off on my Z6 that I use here for streaming, running the dummy battery up into it like an idiot. Thought I had it. There's a little gap in there where you can actually feed the wire through the cover, and I didn't have it in the gap well enough. And when I went to close it, well, it closed on one end and came loose on the other. So there you have it. Oh man. Yeah. So we're all waiting for what's coming. You know, I don't know. We'll see. I had said Z8 and I still believe Z8, but I just saw another video this morning of somebody talking about, you know, the Z8's not going to come out until 2024. I don't know what he's smoking, but he needs to put it away quick because he's calling for the death of Nikon when he says that. And then we have the big discussion, Z8, Z7 III, Z6 III. So especially when we start talking about Z7 III and the Z8, you know, some people have the specs and they're calling it the Z8. Some people have specs and they're calling it a Z7 III. Yeah. You know, and everybody's hoping the Z8 is the great giant megapixel camera, 8,000 megapixel, you know, can't get enough, whatever you can cram in there, you know, as much as you can get in there. And I don't think that's the Z8, but a lot of people seem to think that's going to be the great camera for Nikon, the Z8 8,000 megapixel camera. Because we want 8 million megapixel or 8 trillion megapixel or whatever. And you know what? I hope that Nikon gives those that want that camera. I really do. But I don't see it being the Z8. But they think, 8 equals 850. So it's going to be the D850 equivalent mirrorless. No, I think you're stretching things a little bit because Nikon never built a D9 and we got a Z9. So throw that idea out the window right now. If they were following their typical template, then we would have a Z1 right now instead of a Z9.
Exactly.
So throw all those old things away. Sorry about the brush of the microphone there. And let's look at what we've got or whatever. The Z7 was the first high megapixel camera for the Z system at 45 megapixels. I still think it's going to hold the title as the megapixel king for Nikon. And because it's a megapixel king does not make it better than a lower megapixel Z8. It's specifically for one genre of photography. And everybody gets to choose, what do they shoot most often? Well, I shoot nothing but studio and commercial work. You get a Z7 with 8 bajillion megapixel. There you go. That's what you wanted. You got it, because that's the high megapixel frame. I can't afford the Z9, nor do I want to carry a Z9, but I want something close to a Z9. Well, you get the Z8. It's not the Z9 reincarnate in a smaller body, but you could say that it is the mini Z9. It's just not as capable as the Z9.
Yeah.
Why? Physically, it's not as capable. So, and you got to add a battery grip if you want to push it up to the size of the Z9, blah, 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 blah. There you go, Z8. Z6 III, what are we going to do with the Z6 III? It's going to be the floor model of the Z series prosumer cameras. But why not make that the real hybrid camera with a lot of juicy video work?
It'll be that'll be the hybrid, really good hybrid video camera.
And I'm going to pull my chart up again next month whenever we hear what's coming out. I just want to see how close I was when I threw it against the wall and let it run and see what came out of the runs. Z8 EL18 battery grip would be useful. Yeah, Roy, I think all three of those cameras, Nikon learned their lesson there too. And I think all three of those bodies are going to have a battery grip, a fully functional battery grip. So I think that's going to happen. And, unsubscribe if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you'll probably end up with the ENEL15 in the camera, and then the grip would be able to use the 18.
Well, yeah, just like normal, right?
Just like
we have right now. Same thing. Yeah, absolutely. And that's where you're going to get your extra battery life, is in that battery grip.
Yeah.
If you want a EL18 battery in the smaller body, that's going to be one funky looking camera. And then I doubt there would be a battery grip for it. So that's not going to happen. And I know there are some people that talked about that over on, I can't remember. I don't know. It might've been one of Matt's videos that he did. I don't know how you pull that off. That's going to be one bulky camera. If you try to put that EL18 in a smaller body than what we have with the Z9. So, well, there you go. So doesn't it make sense that it would continue to be the hybrid video camera? But there are people that are saying, no, it's going to be, there are people that are actually saying that it'll be the, baby Z9-ish, not quite as robust as the Z9. I think Nikon's already laid it out. If we just look at what they've done, they've already shown us what they're going to do. Does that make sense?
I mean, I think they know that they have to, in any of those bodies, they have to have a minimum of the 10-bit format for video. Not the 8 that they have now in the Z6. They got to go to 10-bit.
Well, that's again, I think that's a given.
Yeah.
Why do I say it's a given? People
Should
will
be.
argue with me over
Gotta
this too.
compete. They got to compete.
Yes, because if everybody else is doing it and you're not going to do it, tell me how that's going to work out for you. You'll
Yeah.
have the old fanboy Nikon folks that are they don't want that either. But if it happens, they'll support that 100%. Well, we don't need this. We don't need that. Well, you didn't get a cheaper camera because it's missing, did you? No, you didn't.
If
You might as well have paid for it and got it. I'm going to get into rant territory here.
Yeah. Well, you want 16-bit stills right now. You got that Hasselblad waiting for you. That's 16-bit.
And this may be possible. This is why I say, when I said that there may be improvements in the Z8, and we'll call it Z8, Z7, because everybody wants to interchange those two as to what the cameras are going to be. There is the possibility that you're going to see improvements in that camera over the Z9. Oh, no, that's never going to happen. No, Nikon will hold back technology so that they don't outsell the Z9. Well, what kind of moron thinks that this camera won't outsell the Z9? Show me in Nikon's history where the flagship outsold the prosumer bodies that came out underneath it. Show me.
Don't work that way.
No.
That way. And don't be surprised if the next camera has a better EVF.
I agree.
We don't talk about that. It could very well have a better EVF. And then everybody will get mad and say, well, gee, you put the better EVF in the cheaper camera, and I got the other one in the Z9. Well, there's nothing wrong with the one in the Z9. I don't have any issues with it. But if you put a better one in a cheaper camera, then all hell's, what's going to break loose, right?
Well, it is.
Everybody's
No
gonna
doubt about
complain.
it. People are going to be mad,
Yeah.
Also the whole thing going on, the shtick right now, Nikon, and this is the reason the guy said that you won't see a Z8 until 2024. He said that Nikon's not gonna, that camera won't come out for a long time because they've got to sell more Z9s. No, you know what? Right now, I'll be bold and say they've sold about as many Z9s as they're going to sell, meaning they've been pre-ordered or people are waiting for it. That's it. I think it's almost done. They'll hit the shelf. When they finally hit the shelf, they're not going away overnight. They'll be sitting on shelves for a while. Why? Because it's like every other flagship, except for this one is a bit different because of the new technology and all the things that came out in the Z9. People bought it that would not normally have bought a Z9. How do I know that? Well, I was over on the, Facebook, the Nikon Z9 Pro page or whatever, and there are people over there don't even know how to turn it on. Why did they buy it? Because it's the newest, greatest thing or whatever, and they had money to pay for it, which is fine. But the Z9 is different than every other flagship they put out. People bought it that wouldn't necessarily have bought a Z9. That's just the way it is. And you know what? A lot of Z9s are going to get traded when the prosumer bodies come out. Watch it. It's going to happen. They're going to be trading them in for the prosumer because they realize they never owned a pro body, a flagship camera, and they bought the Z9 and they don't like it because they don't like holding it. They don't like the size. They don't like whatever, the weight, blah, blah, blah. They're going to wind up getting traded.
It's too much for them to figure out. It's too much for them to figure out. They jump too far ahead, not having enough experience. And
look, I'm not bagging on people that bought it because they wanted it. You know me, I'm all about want, man. If you want it, you can afford it, then you buy it. Don't let anybody talk you out of it, tell you what you need. It's not about need unless you're a professional photographer, and then nobody needs to tell you anyway. You should already know what you need or what you can buy or whatever, okay? So don't even preach to the pros. They know what they're doing. But anybody that's just an amateur like me or an enthusiast or a hobbyist or whatever, hobbyists have more money than pros, by the way. A lot more money than pros. Now, how many people don't believe that? Yeah. Ask a starving photographer.
The only thing that I don't like is I agree with you. If you can afford it and you want it, buy it. But by the same token, if you never had a camera that had the higher end capabilities, and then you bought the Z9, don't bash it because you don't understand it.
Well, you're preaching
You know, I
deaf
mean,
ears,
you
man. They're going
wanted
to
it,
do
you
that
afforded
anyway.
it, you bought it, but don't complain when you can't figure out how to use it because it was
Well,
beyond what you could use.
you're preaching to deaf ears. You're not going to convince
Yeah.
them of that or whatever. The
Yeah.
bottom
No.
line is they bought it. Those that, they bought it, and that's that. A Z8 or a Z7 III or a Z6 III is not going to take away from sales of the Z9 because you
No.
can't go back and force people to give those cameras back. And that's the only way you're going to take sales away from the Z9 is tell people, give them back, send them back.
No, it's a totally different market. It's a totally different price point. It's not meant for the same audience.
16-bit stills, is Roy saying? Roy, I wouldn't count that out. I wouldn't count that out at all. That's a possibility. Maybe not in all three of those models, but that's a possibility. An absolute possibility. And again, better EVF, that's a possibility. There's so much because Nikon wasn't in a rush to get the Z9 out, but they wanted, I think, to get to the market with the first true flagship. And I think they did a great job, but I think there's still a little bit left on the table. And I think that's what you're going to see. I've heard that the Z8 was developed before the Z9. I've heard this. I don't know. I can't verify. And during the developmental process, they decided to go with the flagship rather than the understudy, if you will. And we're going to find out if maybe that was true. If it is true, then the Z8 is going to be a barn burner. Why? Because it's been on the table a long time.
Yeah, and they're making changes to it still to this point.
Right. Which I think might have been better to go the other direction than the Z8. Then you have people that are going to say, well, nobody would buy the Z9. People, what do you? Nobody buys a flagship on a whim, except for the Z9. That's the exception to the rule. They buy a flagship because of what it is and what it does, and not just its capabilities, but its size, its heft. All that goes into buying a full body camera. And of course, it's going to have some. It's going to cost a little bit more, always. And I say a little bit more because look at the Z9. Now we know that they can trim the fat. So,
well, they tried to imply that the D850 and the D500 used the same autofocus system as the D5, but everybody knows the D5 autofocus was much better.
Why is my chat messed up over here? My chat is frozen over here. What's the problem? Chat box. I'm looking over at the other monitor and chat's just flying. I'm looking here and I'm still stuck on.
Yeah, mine is too there. But on
16-bit stills on a full frame camera from Roy is the last one I have on my screen.
Yeah, the other chat's going. This one's locked up. Yeah.
I don't get it. I ain't getting it. We're not locked up over there. All right, so I got to start looking over here. Sorry, guys. I've been looking at the wrong chat screen. Obviously, I've got an issue here with the chat. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, guys. That's a restream thing again.
I think Roy put it into shock when he talked about 16-bit.
My main man, Roy. Here we go. I can't even get it to post a comment. All right. Okay. Years ago, I heard of the Z8 development, but it turned out to be the Z9. Yeah, Roy. I've heard that as well. Talking about the Z8 development turned out to be the Z9. But like I said, I'd heard, and again, I have no real sources at Nikon, but I have talked to some people that might be a little more in the know than I am. Well, that's easy to accomplish, but that the Z8 was the initial developmental camera or whatever. And then they decided to go with the Z9. So I don't know. We'll see what happens here.
I agree with Tony there. I don't think you're going to see any difference between 16-bit RAW and 14-bit RAW, which Z9 has already. You know, I just don't think you're going to see that big a difference.
Okay. Yeah, I don't argue that point with people because I can't see, I'm okay with 10-bit. All right.
Your eye can only differentiate so much, and at a certain
Or
point,
12-bit.
it can't tell the difference anymore.
Well, especially when you're most of the time you're outputting them anyway to JPEG. It's
So you're dumbing everything down anyway.
Well, the one thing you're doing is you're giving that super wide range of tonality, so you don't get banding in the sky and things like that when you're shooting at such incredible bit rate, bit depth.
well, and Tony's right. It does result in more dynamic range the higher the bit depth. That is true.
I mean, you go to like what
But
16?
is it going to be that big a difference?
They were talking like 2 trillion shades of gray.
Yeah, how many shades of gray are you going to have? How many shades
You're right.
of red are you going to have?
You're right. Your eyes can't detect it, from one to the very next shade that is in the stack. But that also should mean that you won't see that banding and things in the in the sky or in heavy colors or
any type of gradients will be smoother.
yeah. Roy, JPEGs are only for given to art directors. I don't even give them to art directors. JPEGs are for everything, man. Yeah, I know. I'm not a real photographer. That's all right though. I still enjoy it. And I'm not making fun of those that do shoot for a living. I mean, I have no need for all a lot of things that everybody's talking about. Well, you're not a real photographer if you don't shoot. You don't shoot raw. Okay, well, I'm not a real photographer in your eyes, but I mean, to me, I'm still a photographer. I
always
have fun
wear
doing
my
it.
clothes. I don't shoot in raw. I'm
Tell
always
that
wearing
to all the
clothes.
professional sports photographers that are shooting JPEG because they got to get that stuff out immediately.
Right. And there was a sports photographer, one of the baseball photographers, talking about noise and shooting in low light. And he says he shoots in RAW during the day and he shoots in JPEG at night.
Interesting.
And he said he shoots JPEG because when it comes to noise in photos, and I tried it. Now, I'm not the greatest at this, but maybe everybody else can try it too. Shoot a RAW photo and a JPEG at night, low light, where you're going to introduce noise and see which one you can salvage the best. I tried it, and he's right. The RAW photo does not respond well to trying to eliminate noise. Now, it's better with Topaz denoise, but his point was it gets muddy quicker when you're trying to work with a RAW photo, especially, a lot of noise, where the JPEG, the camera does a much better job.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it depends on how your camera's set up to handle noise for JPEGs. Because that's what's happening is your camera's doing all the processing for you.
Yeah.
It's going to look better coming in because when you're shooting the RAW, there's no noise reduction being applied.
Yeah.
Man, what all did I miss?
So that's to be expected. In the JPEG, you're applying it, and you're seeing it when you import the file, and in the RAW, you're not. I don't know. What's the last thing you guys got on the chat? I got a separate screen up, and I'm at Nia Z camera. It's good for sports and action. That's the last thing I see.
I went back to in the chat here a little bit. Darren Francis, it's the people that buy these pro bodies because they think it will improve their photography will eventually sell their Z9s, looking forward to picking up a bargain soon. Yeah, I think that's a possibility too. I don't think that a lot of people buy it thinking that it's going to improve their photography. They may think it may up their game a little bit, especially when it comes to action sports, things like that. But I think it's people got consumed with this new technology and it was, it was such a leap forward, and they just decided that they want it now. And you know what? If they hadn't bought a Z9, they wouldn't get it for a while, would they? Because we're talking about right now the fact that Nikon needs to fill the team up here and get these other bodies out with this new technology. But even that brings a lot of argument in the Nikon crowd, and everybody wants to defend Nikon. Look, I shoot Nikon. That's all I shoot. I don't even buy third-party lenses, so I don't want anybody to tell me, I'm not a Nikon shooter. I absolutely am. And this is my third pro body that I bought, or Flagship. But I just say all that like I got to defend myself here, and I don't. The Z6, Z6 II, the Z7, Z7 II are wonderful cameras. They really are. And it was a great job that Nikon did. But let's face it, the two versions of those cameras came about quickly. And does everybody understand why? There's only one reason. Add a second card slot. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it, period. Because Nikon was getting raked over the coals. Canon wasn't. I'm not going to beat on Canon. It was the influencers that did that. So Nikon did what they needed to do, and they got that second version out. All right. Great cameras for, all the technology that they had at the moment that they were putting into the mirrorless cameras, and wonderful. Does it even come close to the Z9? Absolutely not. And there's somebody's going to argue with me. Well, I can still shoot, butterflies on the fly with my, Z6 or Z6 II. Hey, good for you. You're better than I am. I can still do it with my FE2, film camera, by the way. So that doesn't mean anything. How much easier is it, though, with the other camera? And that's what we're talking about. And that goes back to why the pros eventually move into the newer models, because there's new bells and whistles that allow them to do their job so much easier. All right. So talking about, people buying the Z9 thinking it was going to make them better. Yeah, sure. Some probably did, but mostly it's the newest thing out. There's nothing like it. And I'm going to buy into it. And oh, by the way, the price didn't hurt anything. People that would never spend $6,500 on a Flagship, all of a sudden it's $5,500. Well, that's still probably $1,500 or $2,000 over what they would pay, but it's not $3,000 over what they would pay. And they started justifying and decided, well, you know what? I'm going to buy it at $5,500. I'm just going to get it. I can afford it. I'm going to get it. How many pros bought it versus hobbyists? I'd love to know the actual tally on this. I'll say right now, I think more hobbyists bought the Z9 than pros.
I bet so.
Because pros haven't switched yet. We keep hearing that. Well, they don't have a need to switch. Well, then why? Pros won't switch until, okay, I get that. But why? Hobbyists are the backbone of any of these camera makers, period. It's not the pros, gentlemen.
The biggest thing that made me go ahead and get the Z9, I was perfectly content shooting a D850, was the focusing system, being able to focus and recompose with no effort. Once you lock in on their eyes, you can recompose way easier than you could with the D850.
Yeah.
That was a big plus. It just made that portion of it much easier.
Isn't that what technology is supposed to do? Make it easier?
Yeah.
Period. Isn't that why we buy higher end cameras? Because we can, like everybody says, and I agree, I can go shoot Formula One with a Z6. Is it going to be as easy? Absolutely not. But can I do it? You betcha I can.
Sure.
But why not make it easier on yourself when technology will make it easier for you, and just go buy that technology? That's why people move into higher end cameras. It's not because it takes a better picture. Does the Z9 take a better picture than the Z7 II? Anybody?
No. You're basically looking at the same sensor.
And right now there's a lot of
readout speeds.
Yeah, and right now there's a lot of argument over the issue with the Nikon Z9 in low light, and I'm not going to bring that up now. But my point is, they both take the same photo pretty much. Look
Yep.
fantastic. Do I need a Z9? No, I don't. Do I want a Z9? Yes, I want one, but I don't need it. So here we go again, though. And then the argument, well, pros these are for pros. Well, then the next statement is, well, pros don't immediately. Well, then it's not for pros. Make up your mind. It is or it isn't. Which one is it? Help me out here. It is for pros or it isn't, or they're going to wait and let everybody else shoot with it before they buy it. Look, I'm not picking on pros. Pros are smart. They're in business and they stay in business because they are smart. They know when it's time to migrate to a different system. But you can't have your cake and eat it too, people. You can't argue the point that, well, it's for pros, but pros don't buy it. Well, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Pros are sticking with their D6s and D5s and D4s and D4Ss, and they are. And there are a lot of people that say, I'm not moving to mirrorless yet. Well, that's fine. They're milking everything they can get out of that camera, and rightly so. And that's exactly what they should do. Then who are all the Z9 buyers if the pros aren't buying them? What's that word? What's that word? Hobbyist?
Hobbyists or
Or semi-pro. We may go down that path where people work somewhat for money, doing some things for money or whatever, but they're not earning a living with that camera. That's not putting bread on the table. It's not paying the rent. Yeah, exactly. So who buys most of these cameras? Who should Nikon be looking at? The consumers out there, not just the pros. And I think they do look at consumers as well. What's the next camera then? It's got to be something comparable to the Z9, because that's what everybody was waiting for in the mirrorless Nikon camp, was a competent, great AF camera, and that's all they want right there. You could stop right there. And the other half of that segment, maybe not quite half, wants better video capabilities. You put those two together and you got a winner. And you drop that in the prosumer bodies, and that camera will sell like no tomorrow. So here's my fear. My fear is Nikon does drop this camera. And if you think the Z9 was hard to get hold of.
Oh,
well, that will ruin them if they kick it out. They don't have they do that same BS where, oh, the demand exceeded our expectations and blah 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 blah. They're screwed. They're screwed.
You get a $3,500 camera that's comparable to a Z9, and man, watch out. They better have lots of stock ready to go.
Yeah, exactly.
I will order one as soon as I hear it's talked about. I will put my name on the list.
If one of those cameras, Z6 III, Z7 III, Z8, come out next month in October, it's announced, and then whenever the shipping would begin or whatever. Yeah. If it's announced next month, is that killing Z9 sales? I ask the audience.
No.
No.
I mean, and anybody that thinks it is, please help me out and tell me how it will kill sales of the Z9, because that seems to be the excuse that everybody over at Nikon Rumors is using. Well, they're not going to do it because it'll kill the Z9. What are you, crazy? No, the Z9 sold. It's done.
No,
I got news for you. It's pretty much done.
As you said, some bought the Z9 that probably wouldn't have if a Z8 or Z7 III were out.
Yeah, and
they would not have spent the extra money, but they didn't want to wait anymore. It came out. They said, you know what? I'll spend the extra money. I'll get it. But now they've already done that.
Yeah, I agree. If there was a Z8 that was $3,500 that was close to what this does now, I would have been in that camp.
Yeah,
I would have bought that camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are people that are waiting for that camera. Yeah. Never even entertained the thought of buying the Z9 for a multitude of reasons. Could be money. Mm-hmm. Their budget it limits them to a certain amount that they may be able to stretch just a little bit. They couldn't stretch it for the Z9. But then again, they didn't want the Z9. They don't want the big buy. They want all the bells and whistles in it. Of course, that's just like every all the time, the D850. Well, I want a D610 that does everything the D850 does. Well, sorry, we're not going to do that for you. But now we're talking about something a little bit different. We're talking about new technology that is spreading across all camera makers, and they're dropping it into their prosumer bodies. Nikon has no choice, in my opinion. They have no choice but to do that. They shoot themselves in the foot if they decide, no, we're going to leave the Z9 up on the pinnacle of Nikon camera bodies. And we won't let anything get close to the technology in that Z9. Then they shoot themselves in the foot. Then we start hearing people talking about they're leaving Nikon. And we heard that over the Z7 when it came out. And there were people that left Nikon over Nikon's entry into mirrorless.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. I know of some of the people that did it.
I was real close,
Yeah.
I was on my way out. I was on my way to Sony. I had an A1 in hand. I was testing it, took it on the Tetons trip, and then the Z9 came out, and that kept me because I was invested in Nikon glass.
Yeah. I like Tony Day's comment. Better to cannibalize your own self than a competitor eating your profits. Absolutely. You think Nikon selling a camera no matter what, whether it's the Z9 or the Z8 or Z7 III or Z6 III. And I don't think Nikon is as concerned as all the viewers in most of the channels are about, the eating into the Z9 sales. I don't think Nikon's
where the money comes from as long as they're getting the money.
That's right.
Why do they care where the money's coming from?
Really, the only limit we have right now is in whatever part shortages there may be. And I think that's kind of been fixed a little bit, or supply channels. Maybe that's an issue because I've seen that, like I said earlier, and over the last month and a half, that's reared its ugly head again. And I don't know about all the production facilities and everything else. But if Nikon can announce it, then I think from now on, they better be able to produce it. Now I'll hit the marketing aspect of all this. Nikon drops a Z8 next month. They better have stock ready to move. Because the last thing anybody's going to want to hear is, well, if you were an NPS member, you could get it in a year. But if you're not, it's going to be 2 years.
Yeah, they've already hurt themselves now with the lack of availability for the 800, and the 400 2.8, and it's not like they got a ton of 400 4.5s out there either. So they're shooting bullets in the ship on their own already. They don't need to add any more bullet holes in it.
Yeah, I don't know what the stock is like on the 400 4.5. I haven't really looked or paid attention.
Yeah. So, I really enjoy watching, though. I stay in touch with Nikon rumors, excuse me, only because I've been following Peter over there for so long, and he's done a wonderful job over the years. I remember the D4. Hearing about the D4, getting ready for the D4. I remember the D800. Now, I enjoyed those conversations. Well, you just better get ready. You're going to have to buy a whole new computer system and blah, blah, blah. 36 megapixels. Go. It was almost hilarious. I wish I could go back and relive some of those, those comments. Maybe I could find them again. But
well, I saw Z Wade just bought him a new computer because of a Z9.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, true. I run a PC and I don't have any trouble, but he must have had an older PC or something.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to process video as well.
Right.
If you have something built out fairly well, you shouldn't have a problem.
Andre.
I ended up buying a new computer and I'm still paying for it.
Andre McAuliffe from Malta. Wow. Good evening, sir. Glad to see you in here. There you go. Roy just brought up the 400 4.5 just reaching shops now. So at least that is shipping, at least for now. And some people got their hands on it already. Hopefully that continues in production for a while to catch up and give some people some relief, because it looks like it's a fantastic lens. David, you have it, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yep. It's a great lens. That's it right there.
So
now, what does that compare to in terms of like the weight of it? I mean, it's a lot. It's very light.
Oh yeah, yeah. You
Right.
with the lens off of the Z9, that lens is so light. You pick it up, it feels like it looks like it should weigh more than what it does. It's super light. All the weight here is the Z9. The Z9's is carrying the bulk of the weight.
wow.
The lens is super light.
I wonder what the back order is on that thing.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Right now. Anybody in the audience received a 404.5 recently? Just want to see if those are moving. And the other thing is, now I'm running my cake hole here, my pie hole, but I have not considered there is a difference between what's going on in the U.S. and what's going on in Europe.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I know Europe really took the brunt of the short shipments. I don't know why. I have no idea why that went on. However, even Becky said recently in one of her streams, it's not that everything's caught up, but it seems to be getting better over in Europe as far as Z9 shipments go. I don't mean shipments, but I mean deliveries to people that have pre-ordered. And now I saw somebody, was it in here or over on Nikon Rumors, talking about they've been waiting for a year now for their Nikon Z9. You know what? Shame on you. Shame on you.
Yeah, I know several people that aren't NPS members, and they ordered way late and they've got their Z9. So I don't know.
So people that say that are either just trying to be dramatic or whatever, just trying to slam Nikon. You don't have to do that.
Or they ordered. I mean, I don't know where they ordered from, but
what it tells me is you don't want to work to get one. It's just that simple. I hate to be as blunt as that, but you don't want to work to get one any sooner. You just want to sit back and wait for that list to come out and or that list to get exhausted and complain about it until it does. If you really want one, they can be found now, at least here in the US.
And everybody that I know that's gotten theirs, they did not order from Adorama or B&H. They ordered from smaller camera stores.
Yes.
And they got their Z9s way faster because Adorama and BH get so many orders because everybody thinks, oh, they're big camera stores. Well, yeah, they are, but everybody orders from there, and that puts you so far down the list. I got one of mine from Nikon directly, and then I got another one from a small camera store out of Colorado, and I had them very quickly.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just going to simplify it and make it as blunt as I can. Again, you don't really want one.
Yeah.
You don't want to work for it. If you've waited a year, shame on you, man. Shame on you. And I'm going to say this again right now. Let's just say that we get an announcement in October. If you aren't ready to pounce, then don't complain later. Well, I'm not going to be a beta tester. I'm just going to wait until I can't get my hands on one and complain. Because that's what you're going to do.
I got my Z9 non-NPS, did not go through the large shops that you're talking about, and I got mine the end of January.
It's time to get back in bed with your local, or as local as you can make it. It doesn't have to be nowadays. It doesn't have to be local, but a small brick and mortar. It's time to get in bed with those folks and start giving them some business. Not for everything, you want to buy. I don't have anything against B&H because it's not B&H's fault. They get inundated with these orders on high demand items.
Yeah,
it's not their fault.
That's not what I'm saying. Yeah, that Adorama and B&H, it's not their fault at all. It's just everybody thinks they can just get one quicker there because they're big companies, but that's not the case.
Right now, B&H is saying the 400-45 just says new item coming soon, so they don't have any in their inventory right now.
Yeah, Adorama's back. It says back ordered as well.
Yeah, so they haven't even had stock yet, so they can't say out of stock. So
Right.
they're gonna be catching up for a while. However, it's get on the phone, call every local store, every brick and mortar in the US. Sounds ridiculous. I downloaded the list for the D800 and the D4 way back when, downloaded the authorized Nikon dealer list and called shop to shop to shop. And I had the D4 and the D800 in my hands before NPS members. Why? Because I found them sitting on a shelf literally in small shops around the US. But I put forth the effort to get it. Did I need a D4 or D800? No. But I wanted them. All right. Andre McCullough. Lenses in Malta are based on orders from one of the main agents. They're usually here within 3 weeks. Man, that's fantastic. Manufacturing plants are still suffering the accordion effect, Tony. Yeah. Martin Hild ordered my Z9 in February and got it in February, ordered directly from Nikon Germany back then. Okay. And see, there are a lot of these little, and I know that we don't want to share our secrets because then everybody's going to know and it's going to take that availability away from us. But most of the complaining about not getting some high demand item stems from people that ordered from the huge stores, B&H, Adorama, Henry's, and I don't know, there's some others. The larger stores, everybody they get inundated with these orders. And now let me add to this. B&H also has an incentive to buy from them with their Paybu program, so you can get it tax free.
Yeah, and that drives a lot of people there,
right?
Because
and
of that.
I understand that. However, just understand that the $300 or $400 you're not paying in taxes means you're put on hold, unless you are the old radio callers. The fifth caller gets tickets to whatever, and you're trying your best to be the fifth caller. Well, of course, at B&H and all the other large stores, you want to be number one. And even though you got in at maybe 30 seconds after the link went live and you think, man, I'm at the front of the list. Well, you're at the front of a very long list, which really doesn't matter because you're still 53rd in the queue.
Well, yeah, you're at the front of like you said, because there's people that have those guys' ears that are on the list way before it even becomes available. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, they've got people standing by, or you get your confirmation and you're waiting and the little wheel's spinning and spinning and spinning. It's trying to find its way into the queue to actually confirm your order or whatever. So yeah. Anyway,
I was on an unofficial Z9 list months before they even announced it.
Well, and that's a good thing if you have a local camera store and you frequent them a lot, that you can do that.
I got thrown on a list long before they even announced it. So, like I said, I got it at the end of January.
Hey, were you making a comment about what Andre said about market share fell? Not market share.
The share price.
Yeah.
He said, Andre Mikulov.
Yeah, 4.39%. Yeah. So Nikon, I just saw Nikon bought back all their stock. That was a couple of days ago. Does that have anything to do with this, you think? All the stock they sold, they bought back. I don't know how true that statement is. Seems like
I'm sure they bought back some, but not, I mean, they're never going to buy back all of it. They bought some of it back, but they're just shares just from the market, go up and down. They're probably going down because of be interesting to see if the other brands' stock prices have gone down.
They just bought some 3D printing company.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that has something to do with it as well.
Yeah.
Rod Von Rant Von Rat just said, "Wake up, guys! You can't even get a Nikkor S 24-120 in any stores today. No, you can't, but you can still get them. I mean, they're available. There's one or two that people are finding every day on the 120 or 24-120 here in the U.S. And I honestly, I haven't.
That's all. It ain't easy.
No, no.
You got to really hunt and call and
that's the whole point, maybe everybody, we'd like to see the shelves full of all these cameras and all these lenses, but I mean, accept the fact that that's not going to be the case for a long time down the road.
Yeah.
And if you really want something, you can get it. You just have to work for it. And if you don't want to, and you'd rather wait, then I understand that too.
Amazon has one right now in stock, $1,000.
There you go.
Rated. No, wait, I take that back. 7 in stock on Amazon.
Go.
Here you go, guys. How many years have Chuck, Jeffrey, David been into photography buying gear? I don't know if I want to divulge how many years that's been. God, it's been more than 50 for me.
I'm a relatively newbie here because I had another career that kept me busy for a while, but 16 years I've been back in photography.
I've been buying camera gear for probably, well, let's see, my youngest boy, my oldest boy's 28, probably 25 years, but seriously into it for the last 12.
There you go.
Yeah.
I probably spent enough in the 16 years to equal what a lot of people spent in a lifetime, but that's my stupidity.
My early years, I'd buy a camera body, and this was back, I'd get it home and be like, I don't even know how to operate this thing.
Well, when I would buy a body, I would buy a camera body with the standard 50 millimeter lens. And then I might buy one other lens, and then I'd have it for a little while, and then I might change brand, which I did. I would change brands. I'd buy another 50 millimeter lens and another one or two lenses, and I don't know how many reiterations I went through that in my lifetime before I, picked a brand. And well, for the last at least 20 years, it's been Nikon. So that's the longest I've been with any brand.
Yeah.
And prior to that, it was probably Minolta, because I owned a few Minolta cameras back in the day, and I really loved Minolta a lot. I mean, my heart broke when they went out of business. I loved them.
Let me butt in here and use this as an opportunity too. This is one of the things that I love about this channel, for, all you guys in it and all the expertise that we have out there. So understand, I don't claim to be an expert in anything other than ranting about Nikon not doing the right thing. Then I feel like I'm more than competent. So I'll pat myself on the back for ranting. No, I'm just kidding. But look at the people that we have in the community here. Looking over here at the chat, talking about the Nikon share price, what happened with the buyback of their stock, and blah blah blah. You guys are what make this channel. All right. All this information, all this expertise, and not just in any one thing. We can cover just about anything in this community. Whatever anybody wants to talk about, I can't, but I know that somebody in the community can. And if you want an answer to a question or confirmation that, you're buying the right lens or this or that or whatever, there's always somebody in the chat, always, that can help you out. That's what I love about this channel. I'm having a blast with it, guys. And as long as I'm having fun, I'm going to continue to be the janitor and the guy that opens the door for the meeting hall, lets everybody in, and then we can just go to town. We can just go to town in here and have a ball.
You're the key master, Chuck. You've got the key.
Yeah,
You're the key
that's it. I just open the door and let everybody in. And I'm hoping everybody else can see that, especially those that want to swing by and give us a look. It never fails. It's like it being in the military. The old man, the commander, shows up at the absolute worst time. You just poured oil all over the motor room floor. You just ran out of ammo on the live fire line or whatever. that's the only time that will happen that day, and that's when the old man shows up. And I hope that people come in, and maybe it's a little slow or something's going on in the chat. It's not as whatever, as vibrant. And then they think, well, I don't want to be a part of this. Well, just hang on for a minute, because there's always a typhoon coming through here in some form or fashion, whether it's me in a rant or us talking about a hot topic or whatever. So if you're just in here, what I'm saying is give us a try. Don't jump in here for 15 minutes and think, well, that's it. That's the end all. That's not the case at all. We changed there is no topic. So people that showed up today looking for talks about, backyard photography, I throw something up there, but it never fails that the chat room decides what we're going to talk about. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not one of these egotistical people that's going to force whatever I pick as a topic down everybody's throat. That's not what this is about. If you want to come in and have a place to go chat about cameras, photography, argue a little bit about it, voice your opinions, this is the place to be. And I hope you'll continue to come back and check us out. That said, if you guys would help me out and give me, when I say help me out, I'm not talking about I would love a subscription if you're not already subscribed, but the likes are what help me out. They motivate me to keep coming back in here and doing this, open it up for everybody to talk about stuff. I'm not in this to be
share your address, Chuck, so everybody can send you some grits.
Yeah, there you go. I'm not in this to be a 1 million subscriber channel. I mean, if that were to happen someday, that's great, but that's not what I'm in here for. I'm not in here to be to make a living on YouTube. I can already see that that's impossible. I don't make a thing on YouTube. I am not monetized. If someday that happens, that'll be great. Maybe it'll pay for my restream fees and other things that I use to bring this channel up for everybody. But I just appreciate it if you take a minute and think about it. Drop a like at least, and motivate me to continue to do this. And hopefully you'll stick around with us. All right, my public service announcement's over. My wife won't be shooting me later. And you guys, if you're around enough, you know why I say that, because she does. She counsels me after every one of these live streams. You didn't talk about this. You didn't say that. You didn't ask for likes, blah, blah, blah. But, that's not what it's all about, but it does motivate me with the likes and things like that. All right. That said, back to what we were going at here. I thought it was just a good segue in to get that out of the way before Mama came down the steps yelling at me.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head about the importance of the community on the channel, because, we got off a little on a slow start. There wasn't really a lot of new news. And then we kind of latched on to the medium format conversation and the high megapixel cameras. And then once we hit that, we got into our stride and things started moving pretty darn good, and topics changed. And that's what makes the channel so good. It's fluid, and yeah, you'll have some periods where we're in neutral for a little while, but then all of a sudden, we're in drive again, and we got the gas pedal down to the floor, So that's what makes the channel so good, is the people that join in and call in and contribute, because everybody is what makes this channel great. And you as a moderator and a person that gets the people together here to have a nice conversation, it makes it a very unique channel. And I think that's why a lot of people most people keep coming back. I don't think you lose too many viewers.
No, the thing is that I typically see, I'm going to guess maybe up to 100 different people that are coming through the live stream every time we do a live stream. We carry an average of anywhere from 30 to 50, peak, but so many people come and go. And I think a lot of people find that entertaining as well. They come back and say, "You're still here?" Yeah, I'm not kidding when I say we have long live streams. But that's because of you guys. That's because the chat just continues to go and go and go. And again, I hope that that's the draw to this, is you have nowhere else to go and talk about photography during the week. Your wife doesn't want to hear it. I know mine doesn't. So it gives you a place to go and talk about what the latest news is, or about photography techniques or whatever. And I hope that's a draw for everybody. But, don't think that, you only see maybe 30 people in here when you're in. That's constantly going up and down with people that filter through. Some people don't get the notification in time, or some people are at work or whatever on this weekday live stream. They don't get to tune in till later. So I hope that's a draw for everybody and everybody continues to enjoy it. And that said, I still have a problem over here with the chat, even trying to get the banner to come up. It wouldn't put the right banner up at the bottom, but we'll get that figured out later.
Timothy Brown had a question that said, do you think the letting Tamron do Z lenses will help Nikon produce more camera bodies? It's definitely going to help them sell more camera bodies, especially their DX line, since that's what Tamron's going to mostly concentrate on, it looks like.
Yeah, I agree with a caveat. I don't know that it's going to help them produce more bodies. Like you said, they should be able to sell more bodies.
Yeah.
Because your lens manufacturing is going to be separate than your camera body manufacturing. So if anything, it will free them up more to develop more of the lenses, the Nikon glass that we want to see developed, because they're not going to be sidetracked trying to fill the DX product line. At least they're not going to be in a hurry. Don't need to be in a hurry to fill it in.
Yeah.
So I agree, but with that little caveat statement in there, I think lets them, maybe we get that 85 1.2 sooner than later and get the 200 to 600 sooner than later, but got to get out the stuff they've already announced, because that is what's going to crush them.
And that's what I meant. I just didn't go into that detail, but they're not going to produce more bodies, and it's not going to help them produce them, but definitely sell more of those bodies. And like you said, Jeffrey, it frees them up to not have to worry about creating those lenses, so they can concentrate on all these lenses that are on back order and still haven't produced yet, like the 200 to 600.
And Nikon doesn't have to worry about the villagers coming at the Nikon headquarters with pitchforks and torches, like Canon right now.
Exactly.
The CEO walks out going,
and with that news right there, with Canon doing that and Nikon allowing Tamron, people that are jumping ship, who are they going to jump to if they want third-party glass? There's been a lot of people saying they're going to drop Canon for it.
Yeah, I don't know, and I'm definitely not going to jump on, because first of all, I have nothing against Canon. I think Canon builds.
No, I don't either.
I know you don't. I just want everybody to know. Look, that's not what we're about here, is bashing other camera brands or makers or whatever. And I hope it doesn't hurt them, because look, the three Japanese companies, Sony, Canon, and Nikon, they work well together. And Japan wants to see all of their corporations do well. So I hope it doesn't affect Canon negatively. But the people that I have seen talking about, at least saying that they would leave Canon because they're frustrated, and it may be all talk, but some probably will. But they're talking about going to, hang on a second.
Yeah, there's going to be a small percentage that'll do it. But no, it's, Canon, I'm sure, has run numbers, and they have looked at this. They're not going to let this hurt them.
Good afternoon, Chuck. David here.
How you doing, David? Hang on a second. Let me put you on the air. All right. So, David.
Am I going to be able to hear Jeffrey today?
No, you can't hear. You won't be able to hear. Sorry about that.
You're lucky.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I ain't heard that, Jeffrey.
David Stewart from Alberta, everybody. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, I agree with you with your last statement that Canon, Sony, and Nikon are all working together. It's the Japanese mentality is different. They're not necessarily every man out for themselves. It's the kind of working together as a group. And it's some industries in North America are like that, and some are dog eat dog. And it's Nikon going with Tamron for the third-party lenses for their cameras. I think that's a good thing because it'll help Nikon get people in. And once you got some Nikon glass and some Nikon bodies, you'll probably stick with it. You know, it's like Canon. I think they're in the eye. They're shooting themselves in the foot, but I think they missed their foot and got their knee.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't know about them.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, and then there's Sony. Well, I haven't been following Sony because I just don't know. You know, I can only follow so many because I shoot Nikon and Olympus, and I have a hard time with Olympus now. But anyway, I figured that you get somebody in there and keep you on the straight and narrow because you're the expert at the rest, and I would like to see a Chuck Talks T-shirt.
Yeah, I've been throwing that idea around of some kind of a T-shirt, and I don't know if I want to go down that path or not, but I am intrigued by the thought of I don't need it, I want it T-shirt. But yeah, I've been toying with that idea.
Hey, third parties.
Yeah, that would go over great,
Yeah.
But anyway, and you'll have to get a nice camera on there too with the built-in battery grip.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do a Build-A-Bear camera on there, and do I don't need it, I want it T-shirt. Yeah.
Anyway, I'll let you go, and you have yourself a great day, and nice to see you again, Jeffrey. And that's a interesting background you got there. Is that a picture or
No, that's the real deal, man. That's real.
Jeffrey's supplementing his income. He started a Nikon dealership in his home there. He's now an authorized Nikon dealer.
I'm an authorized Nikon loaner.
Anyway, yeah, I can hear Jeffrey a little bit in the background. But anyway, you have yourself a good day, and I'm getting ready to go across the pond.
All right, sir.
And,
enjoy your trip. We expect lots of beautiful photos.
Well, I hope to shoot the aurora over there because it's going to be darker at night.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got lots of dark spaces here. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.
All right, thanks for calling, Dave.
Take care, Dave.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You're getting ideas for T-shirts, Chuck.
Yeah.
Chuck has gas T-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
I shoot JPEG would be a good one too. I shoot JPEG instead of I shoot RAW. Say I shoot JPEG.
Hey, so we just hit the 3-hour mark. You guys want to continue for a while, or do you want to wrap this up? I'm throwing it out to the audience here. Because if I'm going to hang on for another hour, I got to go put some stuff out for dinner. Yes, I have domestic duties as well.
I think you could maybe, nobody's really saying much. I mean, I think you could, wrap it up in 5 minutes or something, maybe. Give them one last shot to ask a question.
What do you think, guys? You guys want to hang around some more, or is everybody good to go for today? Did we get our fill for the day?
T-Mid just getting on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he works every day, so he's always coming in, towards the
T-Mid,
end.
you got to quit your job so you can get here earlier.
Yeah, brother, we're just getting ready to wrap it up, but I was asking the audience if they wanted to hang in for a while or whatever. If so, I got to take a quick break here.
Michael, I shoot JPEGs, Fujifilm simulations.
Cool. Yeah, Andre. Yeah, ideas for T-shirts. By all means, throw them in the comments after the stream as soon as it rolls over into the video. because it's just a pain to go back and have to cipher through all the comments that come in the chat during the stream. But you're welcome to watch all the live streams after the fact. If you're out traveling or whatever, I'm going to start doing that, listen to my own replays, since it's more audio than it is visual, unless we're doing a photo review. Let's see. 85 or 105, what you all prefer. I want the 85. I want to see this 85 1.2, but the chances of seeing that in my lifetime are beginning to get slim, since the 2 to 600's been on the list forever. So, and the 85, I guess. So don't know, man. Don't know.
Greg Wilson's asking, do you see a list of who is in the chat?
I cannot, Greg. The only thing I see is as the comments come up. So a lot of people can stay in the background, and I think a lot of people do. They choose not to comment or whatever. And I don't know who those individuals are. All right. I did just learn something. I can tell what feed is providing different commenters. That's cool.
The chat's working again as well on the main screen, I noticed.
Yeah, I have no idea why.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Because I had that part cut off because I had another window open with the YouTube channel with the volume off. So that's good. I can get rid of that one now.
All right, gentlemen. I think I'm going to pull the plug on it. But man, I had a good time again today. Yeah, as you said, Jeffrey, we started off a little slow. Why is that? Because I chose a topic. What was I thinking? But yeah. All right, folks, we'll be back again Saturday night, as always. Whether you see a reminder or not, just know Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern time here in the good old U.S., we start our Saturday night stream. It's live. It's just like this. We get in here, we beat it around. If there's news, of course, we're going to bring that up. Maybe there will be some by Saturday night. We'll get to see something new. I don't know. And again, Wednesday is an always every Wednesday afternoon. That's at 12 p.m. noon Eastern time here in the U.S. So whether you get a notification or not, know that we're here, we're live, and we're talking. If for some reason we won't be live, and that doesn't happen very often, I'll put out a notification for that, so everybody knows whether we will adjust the time or just skip the live stream. It's not my intent to do that. I want this to be something that's on a regular basis, so everybody can get used to it and have a good time. If you haven't subscribed and you like what you see, or you want to come back and check us out again, drop a subscription, hit the bell notification so you get all the notifications. And don't worry, there aren't a lot when it comes to my channel. You're not going to get inundated with things from the channel. But more importantly to me, drop me a like if you would. Again, motivation to continue this. I really want to thank Jeffrey Neville and Mr. David Moots. Jeffrey Neville of Selective Imagery. You need to go over and check out his channel. By the way, down in the description for this live stream, you'll see links to a bunch of people that are regulars here on the channel, and I'd invite you to go check their channels out. A lot of fun. You may know most of them. Maybe you're already subscribed, but maybe there's somebody there that you haven't seen before. So check them out. Same with D Moots Photography there, David. His link to his channel is down in the description. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Jeffrey Neville and let him talk about selective imagery real quick, and then we'll pass it to Mr. D. Moots.
Hello, guys. Those of you who visit the channel, which thankfully is quite a few of you. Obviously, mostly birds, but not all birds. It's on my channel. I'll have a new video coming out Thursday morning at midnight. And that's about it. I'm going to be cutting back a little. I'm just going to be trying to do maybe one video a week. Subject matter is getting a little difficult to find lately because they're doing a lot of work in the area that I shoot, and it's kind of scaring off the birds. So if I don't have subjects, I'll have to switch over to some other other topics to shoot, I guess, but we'll try to keep things going. And I'll toss it down to David.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Yeah, check out D-Moots Photography on YouTube. I'm strictly, mostly a birder, wildlife photographer. Content around here is about the same as Jeffrey's stuff around where I'm at in Kansas is pretty slow right now. So I haven't had a lot of content to really get recorded. I am getting ready to head to Florida here in about a week and a half. And I'm going to go down there and shoot some osprey at Sebastian Inlet. And hopefully I can get some content from there, bring it back. I know Mark Smith's pretty much got that wrapped up. I'm not going to try to compete with him. But I'm hoping I know he's there a lot during that time of year. So hopefully I can run into him, meet up with him. But yeah, check out D-Moots Photography on YouTube. Thanks.
Absolutely. Steve Land Photography as well. His link is down in the description. Of course, most of you know Vihography. Always fun to go through Vahagen's channel. He's got so many ideas and things that he's done over the last few months. It's just a lot of fun. Some of them are really entertaining. So Roy just posted Ordinary Filmmaker, Mr. Simon. Simon's having a stream in about an hour. I've got a notification set for that myself. So if you guys want to jump over there when he comes on, I'll be over there for a bit at least to talk to Simon and everybody that's in the chat. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing all you again the next time. So the next shot is Saturday night. Until then, everybody, God bless you. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week and hope to see you again in here on Saturday night. Thank you very much for being in here, folks. I really appreciate it.